Welcome back, everyone, to another Helm to Tower podcast. Boy, howdy, we're in it. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of news, a lot of information for all things Destiny this week, because they just dumped everything they possibly could into 1 week. I feel like here. Hello, I'm Mike Burgess. I'm here with Ari O'Neill and Cam Koenig.
Hi. And you believe it? They made a second one.
They made a second one.
They did it twice.
They did it twice.
They did it again.
They made 2 Vidocs because it's that
much
stuff.
Made a second one.
It's that much stuff that they had to do, and they did 2. That'll be one of the things we might talk about. So here's everything that came this week. We had the season finale of Season of the Wish, a cool cutscene. We had the first dev blog that went over ability tuning, like Stasis changes. It's time to talk about
American novel.
The next American great novel, a small book to tell us about, hey, get fucked well enjoyers and bubble enjoyers. Then we had another blog about exotic armor tuning. I would say I think everybody's on the same page.
Less exciting,
yeah. But like there was some interesting things.
There's a couple things in there.
Then we had, like I said, not one but a 2-part Vidoc. One dropped I think that same day, and then the second part dropped just the day after. Those were really great. The typical Bungie devs talking about other stuff. Really cool to see. And of course I did my sleuthing like I've done in more recent episodes and found some cool details. And then of course there's a TWAB as well that went over Pathfinder finally. So tons of stuff, and to be frank, we're gonna fit as much as we can in a 2.5 hour episode. So if you future you from us recording this right now, see this up on youtube.com/HelmTower on podcast service, and it's like 2.5 hours or so. That means we didn't get through everything, and we just kind of said, "Hey, we're gonna leave it there and then talk about the rest in another episode."
I gotta stand up, but
yeah, exactly. I'm not.
My legs hurt. I'm tired.
I didn't. We were just wanted to not avoid putting up a 4-hour video and or podcast thing, but also for our own sanity of getting up and doing other things. So that'll more likely happen. So more likely you'll have that first episode. The second part episode will probably still be that same week, but it'll just be whatever else we didn't talk about, more or less, is kind of what we're going to go for. So before we get into too much stuff, though, I do want to do a couple housekeeping things just for like more general channel stuff, and because we're only a week away from the final shape dropping. I think it's
happening.
Yeah, we're so close. I thought I would just give everybody like the deets of what's going to be going down for like content and stuff that's dropping out. Well, first off, before that even, we did have some stuff go up on the channel before this week. I had my rants and ravings about the updates to Wayfinder, so it's not Destiny related, so I won't spend too much on it. But if you're curious, that's there. Still very curious what that game is going to be, but it's also very weird. But then we also did, because of the ending of the season this past week, we got together and did a ranking /tier list of all of the seasons for Destiny 2. So you can go check that out on our YouTube channel.
Fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We kind of did a little bit of a trip down memory lane, looking back on seasons and all the different stuff, and kind of was like a fun send off because now seasons are over. So
yeah, go
check that out. It's just on YouTube. I didn't want to do it makes sense to be more of a video. So go check out youtube.com/HelmTower for that. Outside of that, again, this might be like a 2-part podcast. We'll probably still have one more episode right before the final shape drops. Going over whatever, if they do reveal any stuff in this last week, we'll see. And then we're also going to try and see if we can fit in a vault cleaning before then as well. We'll do like a fun little video.
We'll see if that happens.
We'll see if it happens. There's a lot going on. If we can fit it in, we can. If not, oh well, it's fine. And then
do we? Yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to talk about
the streams,
the final shape?
Yes, exactly. So Tuesday launch day. We're all going to be streaming it, but we'll kind of all be doing our own streams, sort of, to an extent. There'll be 2 streams. So me, Ari, our friend Ren who has joined us for previous campaign expansion streams, are we doing that Tuesday? Our typical, we're going to legendary campaign playthrough. We're going to, see all the new stuff, new fun stuff, and play through all that. Cam, you'll be doing that on your own personal stream.
Yes, I will be doing that solo. So
on Twitch.tv.
That is how I
Cam
personally
Koenig.
like to play the campaign. So yeah, Twitch.tv/Cam.
Yeah, we actually secretly hate each other behind.
Yeah, actually,
behind the scenes.
I stop the record button. I go, fuck all of y'all, and then I leave. That's every
have you ever
every
seen
episode.
The Mythbusters, it's like that. Also, that Friday, me and my team will be doing raid race stuff, which is very
raid
exciting.
race. That's right.
We're not going for first. We're just going to get it done.
Yeah, you're just gonna try and get it done.
I am signed up for Twitch Rivals, so if you do watch me, you get all of the emblems that you could get. Which is pretty cool.
The
so you should do that.
Yeah, for sure. Over twitch.tv/Cam Koenig. Like they said in the TWAB, there could be two. I think there's 2 Twitch emblems that you can go get. So watch Cam stream for that raid race, and you can get some cool emblems. So so check that out there. I'll put the links to all that, our Twitch pages and stuff in this video description. Probably the description for whatever other podcasts we do soon.
And Sunday, when I do the regular raid, I will probably end up streaming that as well.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
So yeah,
I will be probably asleep.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Pass the hell out.
That's like our usual group that we do day one of like the chill experience.
Day 1 past contest mode,
Having the guide up on the side just in case we get lost or whatever.
My group calls that the cathartic run. Because it's sometimes just really nice to just like roll up to a DPS wall boss and just kick their fucking teeth in.
For sure.
Phase. It's so nice.
I just some of us aren't cut out for contest mode.
I get it. It is not for everybody. That shit is brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like tough, and it's tough, and it's like a really big time commitment for sure. So we'll figure that. So we'll all be doing that, and then
I am still deciding I might actually just be streaming all week. If people are interested in that, because I just have the whole week off, and that'll be a good way for me to like finish my raid prep. So
honestly, we could probably work something out too, because I'm off that week, but I know I'm also going to be flying out to LA at some point. I still need to figure that out, to be honest. That's where I'm at. But yeah, a lot. So there'll be a lot of stuff coming from us, and of course, like the streams and stuff. We can probably get those archived on the Helm to Tower channel as well. So if you end up not being able to watch them live, we can probably archive that stuff on there. And then, but yeah, a lot of stuff, and of course we'll have the Helm to Tower podcast episodes, giving more thoughts on that stuff in that general thing. Maybe we can do some. Maybe I'll do some other small videos or something as well alongside that. We'll just see.
Figure something out.
But that's like a general idea of what we're going to be doing, and in this last weekend, Final Shape week, we're pretty much here. Like, hype is real. I'm really excited. In some ways, in some ways, I feel bad, because it was like one of those things. I think I even said a couple episodes ago where I was just like, I'm gonna like take a little break from Destiny and like play some other games, because I know I'm gonna be jumping it up. Nope. And is not happening. Like, I've just been playing a bunch.
The other day,
and then like I'm like full in. I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah. The other day, my Steam told me, hey, you've played 68 hours in the past 2 weeks, and I'm like, hey, not so loud.
Hey, dude,
chill.
Stop putting me on blast.
Yeah, chill out.
Why don't you just chill? Okay.
I'm kind of happy, because I don't feel like I did anything to make this happen, but somehow my hour count that's like shows up on like when you go to the PlayStation 5 like home screen for a game, it shows like the hour count now like on their screen. And mine was pretty big. It was pretty big, but but for some reason it like reset to like a lower thing. So I don't know if it's like it just kind of did that, but now I like feel like less bad if like someone magically saw that and was like, oh, this does not look like as much.
2,200 the other day, so I feel that.
Yeah, it's pretty high up on my PlayStation, and now it doesn't look as high. So I don't know if that's like, I don't know what happened, but anyway. But yeah, we have a lot more to talk about with the news. So, if we end up doing like I said, if we end up doing kind of a 2-parter episode, I think this episode we're maybe going to focus on some of the let's talk about the season finale stuff, and then we got some other little details as well as the dev insights.
I do want to know and just check in with both of y'all. How is your final shape prep going? Like how are things going there with y'all?
Yeah. Ari, how much have you been doing?
I have been very good. I'm checking Wasted on Destiny just out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah, that's a website I try not to go to.
Yeah. It was a mistake. 2,114 hours, 18 minutes, 32 seconds. Cool.
Yeah.
Time wasted 0, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't delete anything.
Time wasted. Fine. I guess if we're all doing it, I'll embarrass myself.
Hell yes. I'm just curious, I like to know. I'm pretty good. I feel like I'm set. I'm kind of done bounty prepping. I didn't do everything, but I just don't want to because I don't, like we talked about last episode, I just don't want to do Europa stuff. I don't want to do some of the moon stuff. I don't want to kill nightmares and nightmare hunts.
Yeah.
I'm good. I've done all that before. I'm not going to need all that. I know that. So instead I've just been like, all right, what are my last guns I want to get from the Brave weapons? So just kind of been waiting for people to say like, hey, let's run some Onslaught. And I've been able to jump in a few games and I've had just bananas luck this week. Absolutely
Nice.
Bananas. They doubled the drop rate of like trophies and just guns in general, and it's crazy right now, y'all. I cannot wait for next week when it's like double shinies on top of this.
Yep.
That's gonna be. I'm pretty stoked for that too. Just like they announced in the TWAB that we're gonna be in double shinies the final week here, and God, I'm gonna probably play way too much of this game.
I've been doing pretty good because like I've not like last week or the week before I didn't play any Destiny. I've been playing Steam Deck and some other things lately. And Paper Mario this week, most especially. So it's just like checking in. I did realize I do not have the High Respects title. I need to kill enemies with Season of the Witch weapons, which I'm not looking forward to because I don't like almost all of them. Check out our ranking, our tier list of the seasons to hear me complain about the weapons from this year. And I got Luna's Howl shiny with heal clip incandescent. It also has Desperate Measures in the 4th column, and then I got a shiny Blast Furnace with Kinetic Tremors Rampage, which I was like, all right, we're good.
Great.
We did it.
We got
Nice.
it.
Shut it down.
Very good.
Even had Flared Magwell. I was so happy. I used Luna's Howl for the first time this week. I've never used it before, and I hadn't used it yet. And that goes pretty good,
Yeah,
turned out pretty good.
Yeah, good hand cannon.
But yeah, that's really it. I need to get that title done. I'd like to get the Lightfall title done, but that's not going away or anything. So I might just hold off on that.
Yeah,
I'm ready on bounties. I feel good. I've got now like what you mentioned before we started recording, Mike. That's what I got to do. I got to get my loadouts and my drip ready, and then I will be
So that's
ready for day one.
That's what I did. Is I made very basic general kind of like loadouts and builds for Prismatic, and I'm pretty happy with how they all came together. And but obviously that'll probably change once we get some of the new stuff coming with Prismatic, of course. And obviously some of the exotics we're going to be getting in the exotic class items, that'll probably change ultimately a few weeks, probably a week or two into final shape, frankly. But I'm happy with those. Other than that, I did very, very minimal bounty prepping. All I've literally been doing is just grabbing the gunsmith ones on all my characters, just doing those so I can just get a big dump of get a big dump of cores and whatever else, and I'm fine with that. I've been loading up. I've pretty much loaded up exotic engrams on all my characters. I'm pretty much I'm at that point now where I was running Onslaught. Just now trying to farm up a bunch of those trophies to use next week, and was now I'm hitting the point where I'm full up, and now all the little engrams are dropping, and I have to either ignore them or go delete a random engram or leave one empty slot for now to make sure I can get that stuff in. But it's fine. So that's where I'm at. I generally feel in a pretty good spot. But I was I wanted to have a moment to like go play other stuff because I like feel bad because like there's like a bunch of indies that came out like a week or two ago and like I literally have not touched a single one even though I bought all of them. So like Hades 2 and like 1,000
I'm playing a lot of Hades 2.
1,000 Resist was like another one I saw people were really into.
I
bought
gotta check that out.
Yeah, I have that.
I bought it. I bought Paper Mario. Haven't touched it yet. I just downloaded it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really excited to finally play. But I think I've just,
so
yeah, I can't wait. I think I've just accepted that.
I can't convey to you how good it is.
Yeah, I just think I've accepted that like I'm really Destiny pilled right now, and will probably be.
Oh yeah, same
for
Absolutely.
this because especially because of that now they like did the thing I was like expect maybe like kind of like assuming they do, but they are doing like they did double loot drops for Onslaught this week, but next week we're continuing the double drops, but now we're going to get double shiny rates. Yeah. So I was like, well, okay, I'm just going to live in that fucking playlist for the next week.
I'm just going to stop turning in these tokens.
Yeah, exactly.
In like a few days.
Exactly. I'm already up to
I should have done that.
I'm up to like 300 tokens, and I'm just going to hold on to everything and keep acquiring them, and then just this time next weekend, I'll probably just going to dump all of however many I have at that point and see what I get. As I farm for that stuff. So yeah, I just accepted like all this stuff. I'm probably just gonna have to come back to like maybe after a few weeks of Destiny and Final Shape. I feel like we'll hit another point where it's like okay,
and then the Elden Ring DLC will come out.
Yeah, exactly. Then the Elden Ring DLC come out. I think that'll
Dawn Trail hits,
and then that'll be the point for me where it's like the Elden Ring DLC hits, and that's will probably be like when it's like all right. Well, I also probably have to like sort of probably replay parts of Elden Ring because like, I think like when the DLC was announced, I like started a new game plus and then like started going through some of it, but did not get back up to the point where I think they said you need to be to get into the DLC. So it's like, well, I probably need to kind of try and blast through this new game plus one to get back there. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, I've kind of just accepted that. Like I'm probably just going to be in Destiny mode from here on, going into Final Shape. So
for the most part, like I am still like going through the process trying to like finish up Pantheon this weekend and like get the Godslayer stuff done, and then I have like all of my like I finished getting all of the seasonal patterns like I think yesterday or the day before. That's all done.
Nice.
So I still haven't run 0 hour like at all, which is very funny.
Oh yeah. That's something we have to do this week because I want to do that this week because all the legend stuff will be out, all the quests and stuff will be out this final week.
I just haven't run the regular one, so I just need to like just sit down and just like do that. But for the most part, like I am like once I'm done with Godslayer, I pretty much just need to. I want to go over like fashion loadouts and like make sure I'm going through and like. I saw some people like talk about like, oh well, maybe like Boots of the Assembler is the play, like with the well changes. So I'm gonna try and like get like an extra few exotics, maybe get like a pretty decent one of those, build a build around it. But mostly just like playing around with stuff that I think might be good for day one. But I think a lot of that work is going to be done like the week of. Because we'll like kind of know what that sandbox looks like.
Yeah, but, a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, for the most part, I am like. Kind of caught up. I am like just wanting to finish up these last couple of things this weekend, and then next week is just going to be like relatively chill plus as much Onslaught as possible, so I can like get like a solid workhorse roll of kind of everything. So. Yeah,
for sure. I definitely would hope. I'm hoping to get some good shinies. Still chasing after some now.
There's still a few that I would like to have that I don't have. Yeah, like I would love. Purely just for aesthetic's sake, an Eager Edge shiny Fallen Guillotine. Have not gotten one yet, so we'll see.
I want a better. I have a shiny Blast Furnace that's pretty decent, but I want a better one. And I think I might go back into the Edge Transit mines and see if I can get a bait and switch.
I have also started dipping back into the Edge Transit mines because the world I've been using is a shiny Deconstruct, which will not be as good. So I'm just trying to get. I have an envious bait and switch, but it's not shiny. So like worst case scenario, I will still be fine. But
But
like,
you get kicked from Mike's day one raid team.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I don't want Mike to fucking hate me. That's right. What I'm saying.
You better fucking show up. I'll be watching.
I don't have a shiny hammerhead. That's the only gun I haven't gotten a shiny drop of.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I have
a shiny mountaintop. Now that I think about it, I should probably get a good mountaintop. My gun seems all right. So.
Yeah, it's like for edge transits right now for shiny wise, I have a field prep explosive light shiny one, which is all right, and then I have like the old like repulsor destabilizing shiny as well.
Yeah,
so those are fine, but I definitely would like the envious bait and switch, of course. Blast furnace, I have one that has, or the best set is keep away frenzy, so like that's fine, but I can get better. I know I can get better. And then like I have explosive payload rampage and midnight coup that's shiny, so I'm happy with that.
That's pretty good. Yeah,
I'm happy with that one. Mountaintop, like I wouldn't mind a cooler shiny, but like I have the auto loading recom like normal roll that's like pretty perfect, so I'm fine with that. So really it would just be like I would like a better blast furnace that's shiny, and and edge transit. Those are like the two big ones because most everything I got, like everything else, I'm pretty happy with. Like I got a shiny recluse that has threat detector frenzy or also desperate measures in that second column. So
yeah,
I'm more than good with that one. I would like I don't really necessarily need a shiny Luna's Owl, but I do want that heal clip incandescent.
I accidentally got that, so
it's very good.
Yeah,
it's very good.
It's pretty good. I was watching, I think, Ascendant Nomad's video that he put out pretty recently on Luna's Howl, and it didn't even occur to me that like, yeah, you should absolutely run heal clip with the like fragment that makes it to where whenever you heal other people, then you get increased class ability, and you're just like constantly proccing that. Like that's kind of insane. So
yeah, because I have like. I do have a shiny Luna's Howl that's subsistence incandescent, so that's all right.
That's not bad.
And then I have like a kill clip roll as well that I kept, but I would like the other one. What's this one? Oh, I have heal clip Magnificent Howl as well, which is
also good.
That's apparently very good because it has a bunch of thumbs up and dim. So there you go. I'll take that, I guess. But yeah, I would like that heal clip. Incandescent roll for sure. So that's
awesome.
Those are probably what I'll try and go after in this last week here.
I have, I did not Brave Arsenal, but the heliocentric sidearm. I have that with heal clip incandescent as well, and I'm just so excited for the sidearm buff because
it's gonna be bananas. It's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really good. Sidearms are gonna be really good. Trace rifles are gonna be really good.
Yeah, I need to just like do 0 hour because I really think that rewind rounds on Outbreak is going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah, I saw a clip of it was like literally like probably like an hour before we started on Twitter of a team. It was it was like a team of all 6 with the rewind round Outbreak and golden guns, Celestial Nighthawk golden guns, and they were like one phasing Crota with it. Because they were just all they just all got in a well and then just golden gunned it and then just sat there and just plinked at it with the freaking Outbreak, and they just freaking one phased orcs with it. And I was like, holy shit. That thing's gonna be pretty nuts. And pulse rifles are getting buffs in Final Shape also, and like they did not exclude Outbreak from those buffs, so that's probably gonna be.
It's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be a monster.
Bringing Outbreak in our campaign run, I feel like
a bad idea.
I'm probably going to also, to be honest.
Definitely not a bad idea. Definitely probably gonna be a day one weapon that people bring.
It's gonna be in my loadouts at least.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a better Indebted Kindness, but also I don't know how much I super care.
Yeah,
there's gonna be 2 new rocket pistols.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I would like a better Indicted Kindness still as well. But yeah, you're right. Like it is, we're getting a strand one, and I think a solar. I have
one, and it does the job. So I'm fine with
that's where I'm at as well.
Well, if you need to run next week, if you guys are off and playing a bunch of Destiny,
I mean, I'll be around, so
yeah, we can figure it out. But let's get into these. Let's see. Well, before we get into the blogs, was there anything else I wanted to shout out real quick? We did, one other. Oh, I guess season finale. Yeah, let's talk about the season finale of Season of Witch that came this week. It was pretty cool, right? Like I thought it was like I wouldn't say it's like. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like, I think there's been other more interesting finales that lead into stuff, but like it was still really good. Like the cutscene, I think was definitely the big thing, right? So
yeah, I thought the mission was like cool as a lead up into something that is like ostensibly like a love letter to people who've been with the game for a long time.
Yeah, it was a cool like little full circle moment because if
totally
for people out there, if you did that and were like maybe confused as like just a Destiny 2 only person, the final fight of that whole sequence is the final fight from the original Destiny 1 campaign where you see the Black Heart and you see these three
I never
Minotaur statues that turn into things that because they're like something that, so like it was just like a cool little moment like that to like kind of bring this back on and like technically like seeing like the Soul Divisive Vex like somehow recreating that was like is an interesting like narrative point, but I think ultimately it was just for like a fun little callback more than anything. So that's like all it really is. But it was still
I
neat.
did that mission in Destiny 1 9 years ago, in the 3 weeks after my house blew up from a gas explosion, and I was living in my aunt's basement. So it was like, because sometimes you do something and you get like that kind of sense memory shit.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa. This is so weird. Like, because I wasn't sure. And it was like thinking back, like, where was I when I was doing this last? It's like, oh yeah, like I was in a very specific point in my life.
It was maybe not a great time.
Yeah,
I mean, it could have been worse, right?
Sure,
people could have gotten hurt and nobody got hurt, type deal. And I did lose my home, but I found another one that ended up not being great. But whatever. I didn't know that at the time. And I was thinking of like I got Destiny 2 from Best Buy, like the Taken King that came with Destiny when I was playing through the D1 campaign, like, and I was streaming some of it at some point. Like this was 2015, so it has been a long road in Destiny. That's for sure.
We've come
I think
a
it was a
way,
really cool thing that they did that. I like, and I think that seems to be like the general consensus for a lot of people because they're just like, I mean, like, technically it's like nothing special, but God, it's so cool. They did that.
Yeah, like by like today's like boss mechanics and encounters and stuff standards.
It's essentially just
definitely
kill 3 majors and the fight's over.
It's definitely like nothing crazy, but from like a nostalgia standpoint for sure. Just like walking in and seeing that
right move.
Scene with the Black Heart and stuff. It was cool. I was like,
everything they've done with the Veil this year, like and talking about and how like that it was like some kind of amalgamation of that, like. Lore-wise, I think it also makes sense. I agree. It was cool.
Pretty cool.
I imagine they probably just had like, I like to picture that writers' room meeting where they were pitching that, and somebody's just like, "No, this fucking whips." Actually,
let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that for sure.
Especially with the Vidoc stuff that we saw of like at some point in the Pale Heart, there's like the highway that we woke up under, right? Like held up by a bunch of hands. It's like, okay, they're leaning into this, so I feel like this is a good like little palette setup to like, okay, we're gonna be nostalgia.
I definitely think that's gonna. I mean, this year is gonna be the 10-year anniversary of the original Destiny. So like, I think in general, I think in general this year. I think obviously probably in the final shape, like you said, with like some nostalgia bait. But I think later in this year, I would not be surprised if they do some more like anniversary style content drops, even going that far with stuff later this year, tying into that. So that would I could see him do it. I could see him doing it, like for sure. I could see him. I mean, they did a 30th Bungie anniversary, like,
and it was cool.
It was
really cool.
A lot of people liked it. I liked it. We all liked it. So like, I could totally see them. Doing some Destiny nostalgia pulling for the 10-year thing later this year, but after you do that mission, we get a really cool cutscene that is kind of more of the like scene that is kind of directly leading into final shape, where we see Crow, who has trying to travel through and get into the Traveler, as we saw like earlier in the season. You see him. We see like this. It was cool, like CG cutscene. and you see him pop out.
Expensive cutscene.
Yeah,
this was like a pricey one.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It was one of those ones where you see him pop out of the other side of the Traveler. He lands and he's like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And then started seeing gunfire, and and everyone realizes it's freaking Cade, and Cade's just there in that scene and starts firing at him, and then they get into like a little one-on-one duel, and of course you saw plenty of memes of people being like, "Wait, why did Crow use that hunter dodge? He's not even near anybody, so he wouldn't have gotten
Crow,
his melee bag.
Hunter,
you're an idiot. What are you doing?" Like I saw some stuff like that. It was just pretty funny.
That was so funny.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I don't know, like contextually, that also kind of makes sense if you think about it. Like,
yeah, and then like him fan hammering a Hawk Moon of like also I saw people being like, "Hey, well, why can't I do that? I want to do that." Yeah. But yeah, so cool moment, and then of course they do the thing that has become a staple. I feel like where you get the literally the inverse shot from Forsaken, where Crow's down on the ground, he's pointing his gun up, and Cade is pointing down his gun down at him, but then
it doesn't matter how many times they like use that shot in Crow's narrative stuff. It works every time.
Yeah,
I love it.
It was great.
Like the thing with him and Zavala, like a few seasons ago too. Like that was great.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was good. And then of course Cade's getting ready to pull the trigger, and then Crow's ghost pulls out, and they have like a perfect little just quick like he goes, "You died," and then so did you, and then just. And then they, kind of, you see like a big light pulse from like the creepy witness tower in the distance, and then they take their hands, and he pulls Crow up off the ground, and then they get ready, and then the scene ends, and you're just like, "Oh, sick, yeah, okay, here we go."
No, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
And then the ship.
The ship has like some pretty interesting lore,
which I think it's great.
Thank you for reading the lore tab, you guys.
I think that if I'm not mistaken, they used that lore tab already this season. I think it's like the second time it showed up, and it's like word for word the same thing. It's just that we have different context now, and I think that's really smart.
Yeah. So it seems like at least like what people are.
Whenever I read that, I'm like, I think I've read this before.
I mean, it's been in collections, so it could have just been.
Yeah,
it might have been that. Yeah.
That's possible.
It's still so brilliant.
But it's really good because it seems like they're maybe giving credence to like how Cade is back. And it seems like maybe it was some kind of wish magic potentially, and like it makes sense because we didn't really see a ghost with Cade, so we don't know if he's like back. I don't think he's a guardian, but he still has like his memories of being a guardian and knows who Crow is. So
it
seems like that is what they're going for, which could be very fascinating. And we know from like what was it there's some stuff in the Vidoc, but there's stuff in this, and there's stuff in the some of the other trailers and things they've shown where we know that Strike is about like Ahamkara magic and skulls and powering.
There's like definitely some dragon shit going
inside the Traveler. So that all plays into it. So very interesting for sure. Some interesting lore will be there. But
great lore tab. Yeah. I think one of the cooler ones that they have released in quite a while.
Yeah, it was good. It's really good.
The one where Eris and Drifter had sex is also a good one. Just
that's pretty good. Yeah, good for them. They deserve.
They definitely deserve a little happiness.
Good for them.
Yeah, good stuff. And then one other thing I wanted to shout out before we get into our blogs was we had like on top of all the other information, we got like sort of a tease of more exotics. I don't know if I think you both saw this because I shared it. But they updated the Bungie.net like final shape like page, and if you scroll down to like there's like a weapons and gear section, there is like you see all of the like final shape destination weapons, but if you tap through that, they have the 3 like chest piece exotics 30 showed, but there's 3 more ones that they haven't given the names of them are in there, but not like what they do, so we don't know what they are, but they are new like 3 more exotic armor pieces that we're going to be getting. Let me go back. I have the page here and these many tabs. Oh god, where'd it go?
Speaker's Sight is the name of the Warlock one. I remember that.
Yeah, Speaker's Sight.
It's the Speaker's helmet.
It's straight up the Speaker's helmet. Speaker's Sight, and then it says, study the voice, gaze into the heart. That's kind of all they give us for that one.
Implications are bananas on that one.
Implications are bananas for sure.
I think on that one, I think I was watching. I think it might have been a Byf video.
Yeah, I watched this Byf video,
and he talked about like, hey, if you're a warlock, you should
wear this.
Probably put that on
because walk around the Traveler,
inside the Traveler, and do some stuff.
Interesting, and
that could be cool. That could be really cool if they.
I will be doing that for sure. Yeah.
So
that'd be really interesting. The other one in here is called Balance of Power. That's the hunter. Their hunter legs. It says into the Traveler, the hunt continues, and like there's some green. There's some green in there, so like I'm wondering if it's like a strand exotic, but I also see like. There's kind of
like it has like dark and light on each side. Of them.
That was the other thing I was going to think. It was like maybe there's going to be like, and it's called Balance of Power. So I'm curious if it's maybe has some effect if you're on a light subclass and a different effect on if you're on a dark subclass. Maybe that could be interesting. So I'm curious about that one. The sickest one though is this Titan one. I don't know if you've looked at this one.
It's pretty tight. Yeah.
Because like when I first looked at it earlier this week. And I was just looking on my phone, so I couldn't really see it. But I was now pulling this stuff up for here, and it got like a fuller res image, and realized what the fuck it was. And it's called Wishful Ignorance, and every enemy of the Vanguard had a plan until is what the line says. And this fucking exotic, I think it looks like it is an Ahamkara skull that is on the shoulder of the Titan, and it's like, and you see threads of like strand coming out of the skull into this like mechanism that's on their arm,
like cool heavy machinery type shit.
Yeah. And you can see like on the elbow, it's like there's like little arms that are like refining it, and then you see it go up into the forearm to like make like tight threads that go into the fist, and that's like holy shit, we're like using strand to weave like wish dragon magic or something.
It's tight as fuck.
That's fucking
tight as fuck, dude.
Sick as fucking hell, exotic. And like that thing's that's gonna be some punchy, like you're gonna do. If you thought Banner or like Frenzy Melee Titan on strand was crazy already, that thing's like probably gonna pop off or something. Like,
and it's absolutely getting disabled. This one is for sure getting disabled. Yeah. We joked about the other one, but this one.
There's
always like
there's one
at least one Titan exotic.
Yeah,
that gets disabled.
100%. And that
sorry everybody.
That one's too sick. Yeah, you're right. That one's like too sick to not be disabled.
Too cool, dude.
They're like actually
just kill the witness like based on drip alone.
Yeah, he's just like the witness you just show up with that, and the witness is like, holy shit, I'm cooked.
Fuck,
I'm fucking cooked.
I'm fucking cooked, dude.
It's so over for me. No more final shape. But yeah, those are cool. Like again, we unfortunately they didn't really give us like what they actually do.
No idea what
we just know the names. But they look
That's cool. I like that.
They look cool as hell. It's a mystery.
We'll figure it out.
It's a mystery.
I'll be looking at collections when I load it.
Yeah, we'll continue. Definitely continue the proper tradition of our streams and spend like the first hour just looking at collections.
At the tower, getting ready, just like doing
stuff. The first thing you always do: opening cutscene, Eververse store, collections.
Yep.
In that order. Yep. That's the correct way.
That's the correct order.
No other way around it.
In Destiny 2.
It's usually like, I don't know how, but I've gotten in the game first every single year for like the last 3 years. So like, I just like wait for, I don't know. I just have
that's happened a
lot. I just wait at the tower and I'm looking through collections, so I'm waiting for Mike and Red. It's it's a good time. We're having a good time.
But yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, looking forward to that. All the teases we got there. But now let's get into these dev insight blogs because there's a lot here too. Let's just get into this. We got a beefy
get
one
a drink,
here.
Everybody, grab
strap
some tea.
in. That's right. Get your stretches in. Get my water in because we have final shape ability tuning preview. So this goes over updates to a large portion of the Stasis ability suite, including our new keyword Frost Armor. And they are not kidding.
We know what it
is.
We
know.
Yeah, and they're not kidding about this Stasis change. Like they literally changed like almost everything.
Of the article.
It's like the majority of this article is just Stasis changes, and it's so much. The near future of Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn in the final shape. And a subclass by subclass breakdown of balance changes to abilities, aspects, fragments, including but not limited to those included with Prismatic. But yeah, I guess we want to start with this Stasis stuff, or do we want to like talk about the other things first, or how do you want to do this?
We can start with
let's do the Stasis stuff. I think because it's it's like pretty beefy and it's
significant. Yeah, I feel like we could knock out the well and bubble stuff real quick if you wanted to, right? Like, but
I mean, I like first glance at the well and ward stuff is I don't think that well is as dead as people think it's going to be.
I definitely agree. Let me just hear. We can do the well and
let's do
bubble stuff. So I'll just read what they said.
We've been talking about it for weeks,
Yeah, for sure. Back in November, we briefly touched on Well of Radiance and Word of Dawn and how we were evaluating their place in the sandbox. With the launch of the final shape, we're making some larger changes to both of these supers to push them into more distinct identities and to reduce the fire and forget nature of Well of Radiance. Well of Radiance core fantasy has always been a supercharged healing and powering rift combo, offering a rally point for your fire team during moments of focus. In its current form, its healing and damage resistance offer effective invulnerability, which removes any other defensive option from consideration on top of providing a sizable boost to your fire team's offensive output. We've chosen to push Well of Radiance further towards that offensive capability by allowing its radiance to persist for a short duration after players leave the well, and we're also pulling back on its defensive output. Both damage and healing rate. So here are the changes. Now grants Radiant for 8 seconds when players exit the Well of Radiance. Reduced player survivability while standing in the Well of Radiance aura. Reduced healing per second from 100 to 50 health points. Basically now it is restoration times 2. Increased heal on cast from 400 to 300 points. And reduced damage resistance versus non-boss combatants from 40 to 20. Reduced damage resistance versus boss combatants from 40 to 10. And then it says they note the damage resistance versus enemy players is unchanged. And they increase the maximum aura powers from defeating targets while in your Radiance, Well of Radiance aura from 4 to 5. I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't think this outright kills well. But I also don't think that.
I do think this is significant, though.
It's significant. Yeah. Like, it makes it less of the like immediate go to in like much higher tier content. Where I think like a lot of other content, I don't think it's going to feel that dramatically different. If anything, it'll be nicer because like they say here, like now you're going to be able to go into your well, get Radiant, and then be able to get out of it without having to worry about that stuff.
I think that's really
nice. That is nice, and I think that's like
I think that. Honestly, like a couple of like the big standout changes for me, because I have like pretty much just played well almost exclusively for the past year.
Me too, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that like the heal on cast to 300 health points.
That's
like,
great. Panic well, enjoy
it. Kind of makes it like way more of like an oh shit button, which is like kind of nice if you need it. I think the healing going down to 50 isn't like that
makes
like
sense.
Too much of a change. Like restoration times 2 is still very, very good.
Yeah.
It's the DR that's going to make
the DR is tough.
Difference.
Yeah, I think that the DR, especially like the boss one, I think could be pretty huge.
There's just so many fights that I can think of that this is gonna
but it kind of depends like mostly as far because like we don't know what type of like encounters we're going to be facing in the new raid or anything like that, and so like that's the only like kind of hesitant thing I can think of. But also even then there are still kind of ways to build around that.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me with that too is like you said, there is ways to build around it. This is going to open up some more exotic potential options for people who are going to be running well.
You're not like just we talked about Phoenix or Luna.
Like, exactly.
You could run anything.
Yeah,
you could like run so many other choices.
We talked about Boots of Assembler and being an option, and that can be really useful. The thing I like about that I actually think is like somewhat of a net positive, for at least to me personally, about these damage reduction things is like it makes the use of well and its placement like matter more because like that has something that was always like definitely was like, okay, yeah, this I see why people like this is a point of content, like I feel that makes this like such a potent thing where like we were like, you know, obviously we were doing planets on Pantheon and it's super hard, but on most normal things like my clan, when we do it, literally all we do is you literally like put the well almost like point blank in front of the boss, and you like there's like no repercussions for doing that. Like now that makes it so like you have to be smarter about like where you put a well in that phase rather than just being like, oh, we're just literally point blank in front of the boss and like shooting. And like I did an onslaught 50 wave earlier today, and just some random rank 8 guardian, and we got to the boss round, and the person just like whole hogs, like we grabbed the rally, we ran in, whole hog would just like naturally like sprint up into the circle where the boss like is standing with the 8,000 enemies, and just dropped their well and just like started fighting everything. And it's like,
and you can totally get away with that.
And you can just totally get away with that. And like I think that's like not a healthy way. That's just been like not a healthy way to use that option for so long. Yep. And I think
it'll also make using a well in like a Grandmaster a lot more interesting too, because I think that like largely a lot of the boss rooms are like, I think a lot of the times with like your raid boss rooms, like those are typically set up for like certain specific strategies in mind. When like strike like boss rooms, I think that there is like a little bit more flexibility, and they're like a little bit more dynamic as far as like where the boss could be, like what you could be doing at the time. And I think that this will like definitely like incentivize like coming up with a little bit more of a plan, which I think is really interesting.
That too, like, and like things like doing damage phases now and like raid bosses and stuff, and thinking of the idea of like there's opportunities now where, normally it's like, all right, you put your well down, all 6 of us like smash inside to it, and now like the main options are like rocket launchers and grenade launchers, and most motherfuckers are blowing themselves up on each other, and people are strafing, not thinking about it. Like this also opens up to be like, okay, now we person can put a well down, and then we can like go to the well and get radiant, and then leave, and
then go find cover,
and then go do shit or find cover, or exactly. And like I think that opens, so like it gives a little bit more strategy to that super. So I think it'll still be used in a lot of ways and still be the thing to go to. It's just we just have to be smarter about its use, which overall I am like more positive about, other than it's just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna plop it here and then we're just gonna hide in it and just I've got and like the like how many times I can think of like having those moments, and then I'm sitting in a well and we're just like DPSing, but I'm getting like flinched to all fucking hell because there's like 8,000 enemies around us, and it literally just doesn't matter because we're in a well and we're just like literally like god moding for these brief periods, but then you literally tippy toe out of it and you're just like insta-gibbed. So like it just like makes it like you have to think about this more and its use and stuff, and I personally like that.
Yeah, I think like the idea that you can still use well, but you have to like you can't just fire and forget within it is like the goal here, and I think that they will achieve that of like you use well, and maybe it has, like you said, Mike, has to be more strategically placed, right? You have to really be thinking about cover within the well, potentially pairing bubble with well, and that when you're in it, you can't just forget about where you are and what you're doing, right? Like you have to be kind of cognizant of where you are, and you have to probably be going in and out of the well pretty frequently. I feel like is going to be the goal. People bring up how so many encounters in D2 are built around Well of Radiance, so that makes me kind of concerned about how those encounters are going to feel after this change, right? Like Crota, like Nezarec, like all these fights that we have where it's like if you're not in the well, it just becomes kind of miserable. And that's why like the push and pull of everything has come back to like, all right, well, we just have to use well. I don't want to live that life anymore. I'm like here for the shakeup. I want things to change, and I'm so like I definitely think there will be a place for well in endgame content always, but I'm excited for more options, like knowing that there is Song of Flame coming as well, like the new Solar Warlock super. Like I'm very excited for that. I'm kind of like wondering if you can use healing grenades with that, like because you get them back, like the instant recharge, like potentially is like doing that and then throwing heals at your whole team going to be a better, more efficient healing situation than well.
I unfortunately don't think that'll be the case because
of the fire grenade stuff.
Because like there's footage of it in the Vidocs, and I'm I remember this because I did like the sleuthing of it, and like in the gameplay in that scene, your grenade like turns like is like transformed into that helium. Like you throw it and it's like tracking grenade. Like it's not different kinds of grenades you can use. Like it turns your grenade into a melee into like that Song of Flame, like supercharged versions, whatever they are, rather than like the stuff you're just spamming the stuff you normally have. But yeah, I think for me, like, I am curious about those raid encounters that definitely are a little bit more, that like definitely are like, a little bit easier thanks to having a well. But I definitely think there are a lot of other stuff. Like I guess I'm Grandmaster pilled to a certain extent for difficulty things, and like there's like wells were like pretty necessary for a lot of that content for a long time, but like there's been a pretty good while that it really has not been, and there's enough stuff across the game and with different other classes and loadouts and subclass stuff that you can kind of work around it much more and work in different strategies. So I will be curious. I think there will be things that make this still more viable to do, like Crota and stuff without a well, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
I hope that like of anything, it just brings out more class and team synergy of like, okay, well now, you get a Strand Titan to throw one of his or one of their like, woven mail bubbles inside the well, and now we're like back and we're cooking, right? Like, and that forces the team to each have a roll 4 damage phases to bring something to the table, or like a bubble or something like that.
Yeah.
That's my hope, right? I think that's like the ultimate dream of the class synergy, right?
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to see a lot more. Now let's talk about Ward of Dawn. I definitely think we're going to see a lot more Ward in Bubble or Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn like combos for teams and stuff.
I think honestly, it feels like to me that Ward kind of got hit a little harder than Well did.
I do agree with that for sure. Ward of Dawn, on the other hand, is meant to be a highly defensible safe haven for you and your team. In practice, our combat encounters don't have a lot of opportunities for this type of gameplay to shine, so we're making a change to allow Ward of Dawn to provide defensive capabilities while fighting around the dome, not just in it. We're also reworking Armor of Light to make your current health state while in the dome of Ward of Dawn more understandable. And we're pushing Ward of Dawn away from its current offensive capability, unless you specifically build into it. I think that's the big thing people were not happy about. I feel a little bit more indifferent to that, but I'll just keep reading these changes first. For Ward of Dawn, Armor of Light, removed Armor of Light Overshield. Ward of Dawn now immediately applies to a full Void Overshield to the caster and allies that enter its dome. Armor of Light now instead grants additional damage resistance to players inside the Ward of Dawn, 30% versus enemy players and 60% versus enemy combatants. Effective health of players inside Ward of Dawn dome remains roughly the same as it was before versus PvE combatants. Effective health of players inside the Ward of Dawn is significantly lower than it was before versus other players in PvP, and cannot be further increased by stacking Bastion barricades inside the ward to gain additional overshield layers. I think that's a good PvP change. I will say in this regard, I'm kind of surprised they didn't change anything with Well in the PvP sense, but I guess whatever. That's that. I know
restoration is going to affect it a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. The whatchamacallit, the bubbles and stuff were a lot more of a menace in PvP overall, but
because you can break a well from a distance, but you can't really. It's pretty tough to break a bubble.
That's to say, it says allies near the Ward of Dawn dome now have Void Overshield trickled on over time, similar to the volume behind a Bastion barricade. No longer provides the weapons of light by default. This behavior has been moved to the benefits of Helm of Saint 14, and the Ward of Dawn caster can now generate additional orbs of power to defeat enemies with melee attacks in or near their Ward of Dawn dome. I definitely agree. This got a little bit harder. I will say that I do like the overshield stuff, but I think the overshield still needs a little bit more. I think this would be overall better if this also came alongside them buffing the Void Overshield a little bit, because that can be, I think in some activities the Void Overshield's fine, but like when you get into higher tier stuff, like it makes no difference to have that Overshield on, and it just gets burned off really fast.
Yeah, it's just more health for the enemies to just tear through.
Yeah, right? It's just not enough in higher tier stuff. And then
if it came with like a little bit of DR, I think that would be a little bit more
a little bit more DR, or like the other idea where they say like the bubble gives the same amount of trickle as just a normal barricade. It's like, well, okay, I feel like they should have it should be giving you more overshield around it, because it is a super you're casting rather than just a barricade. And they are saying putting a barricade down also does not affect it. So that was just like, okay, I get the changes for PvP, but I think in PvE I would just like to see maybe if they add a little bit more of that stuff to this, I would be I think it would be really in a pretty strong spot.
I assume like the idea is you dip in, get the full Void Overshield, and then as you're standing outside of it, right, it's just regenerating that full shield, right? So I think that was like the intent, but yeah, I see what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, I also don't see, like, I don't think that people like a raid fire team running a bubble and a well, I don't feel like that's the play. Like it feels to me like there are better ways for either the bubble user or the well user to like kind of build into what you're trying to do. And because otherwise you're essentially like, if you're like using your super on a well or a bubble, like you're missing out on like possible damage, right? Like you're just not like popping out like a damage super or anything like that. Or even like you could even have like, you know, the Ursa Furiosa stuff, like as we'll probably talk about later.
Yeah,
like,
that's definitely going to
be I think a little bit more of a viable option, but
for sure.
Yeah, I don't personally see like a lot of people running both kind of like in the long term. Like I imagine there'll definitely be some of it, but to me it really does kind of feel like people like immediately jumping to like, oh hey, you know, we're gonna just like run both of them and like kind of get the same kind of use case. It just feels like you're not really like being as optimized as you could be, and I think that'll be fine once you get into like regular raid content stuff, or once you get into like stuff that isn't like a GM or anything. And I think that'll be totally fine for like most cases.
Yeah, but I think this will definitely be a case of like if people are they're gonna go. Like people are going to go into this and still try like the stuff that kind of works and have well warlocks, and then quickly realize you can get probably cooked a lot faster in a well, and then people would go like, well, maybe we do need one of these. So I think for like, I guess for this is a lack of a better term, but I think like a little bit more casual groups who are just like kind of like wanting to do it like that. I think this is going to be their play now, right? Where they're just like, oh yeah, let's get a bubble titan because they give us like overshields and some little bit of extra like protection in these cases,
stacking health and everything,
health
right?
and
totally, yeah.
Stuff.
My first thought,
mentality,
my first thought with the well stuff, honestly, is like, all right, well, what if I just run the stag and throw a rift down on top of my well, or what if I run like Boots of the Assembler and just like kind of use that and let that go or something?
Like it definitely seems like that's going to be a big thing. Is like everyone's just going to move off Phoenix Protocol and just do like a stag or something for that. But
I am interested to see how it shakes out.
Stuff.
I
am as well.
Like people kind of use a lot of these changes because I think that like while I do like I said earlier think that like Ward of Dawn is getting hit a little bit harder IMO. I am interested to see like if people do end up using it, what kind of like niche it finds and like how people are using it.
I like, you know, conceptually, I really like the idea that they're trying to make Ward like this. It is kind of like Well was before, whereas like if Well isn't as safe as it used to be, right now Ward is like that safe spot. Like, okay, I made a safety net, and then we can fire. I love the idea of like everyone peeking out and standing around the bubble and shooting while some people are going in and out. Like the image of that is really cool, and I hope that it plays out like that. I don't love them taking something that was intrinsic to Ward and putting it on an exotic, right? Like
that does feel a little weird.
It does.
Yeah. It just feels weird, and like it's like that's not what Helm of St14 was meant for, right? So now it's like this exotic is like so totally different, or to a lot of people completely essential to running this super. And I don't love how that feels.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see what they're trying to do, but again, like this was something Ward had forever, and now Ward no longer just has this. And at the same time, in the same breath, Well gets weapons of light in this weird kind of backdoor way of getting radiant when you leave the well. So, that's what Ward was. You go in and out and get your buff, and you can still shoot out of that. So it's like, it just, there's some weirdness with this. Again, I'm here for the shakeup, though. I'm here for things being very different, so that way we can maybe figure out new ways to play the game. But
yeah, for sure. That's definitely where I'm landing too. It does feel weird. Like I see like what they're trying to do with like, I feel like as big as Well has been, it is really focused on like Well is as useful as it is because there are exotics that like push it up, right? Like we said, we have Phoenix Protocol, we have Luna Faction, where like I think they're maybe trying to like have that with Bubble as well, so that's why they did Helm, put that on, they put the damage buff on Helm of Saint 14. But like you said, like you brought up a good point. I didn't even like connect this, where like there's the other part of it of like originally Helm was like, if you put this on enemies, it like blinds them in the bubble and like fucks them up and stuff, and like you're not going to be doing that now. So like, what is the point of that now? Like other than that, but like I'm curious to see like how many orbs could you make with a Void Titan now with that melee change, like because like we'll get into their buffs, but they're finally giving like the shield throw a proper buff, so I'd be curious to see like how many that can generate, and if it's like actually pretty good, like that could be cool too, where you pop your bubble, it makes the normal amount of bubbles and orbs on cast that it makes now, but then as a Titan you can just like run out of the bubble and throw your shield at a group of enemies and just make a ton more orbs for your group pretty easily. And I'll be curious to see how that plays out, or like they could play some other role with maybe Void Titan Glaive Gang and go grab a glaive and just start smacking fools to make a bunch of orbs when your bubble's up or something. I don't know. Well, very specific use cases probably for that in those scenarios, but
makes me wonder because like a big thing that they added to the exotic glaive on Titan was Helm of Saint 14 working with the bubble that makes.
Yeah.
Does that just generate weapons of light now too? Like that's a big question.
That would actually be pretty huge if that actually
would be huge.
That would be
great.
That would actually be like
because then you wouldn't have to run Ward on that build in theory, right? Obviously you should if you're running Helm of Saint 14.
You could just run the glaive in Saint 14 and then just like not even run like a bubble.
And then have like maybe
just make the tiny shield. Baby bottles, and just
would be fun on Prismatic, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And Dado brought up a very good point. So I watched a lot of videos on this because I wanted to see how these were landing with people. And Dado did bring up a good point of like this is just going to make people swap more, and I also don't love that.
Yeah, I'm not.
It doesn't solve that problem.
I don't really do a lot of that either. But yeah, it's. I agree. It's like a weird thing to do to like or like try and like make people not make people do, but like these changes, you're right, like make people feel like they need to do that more, where you're like, all right, I'm changing to I'm putting this on to get more stuff and then swap into this or whatnot. So I'm not a fan of that either, but very curious how this will point out, like, and I'll say like we'll get into some of the other void stuff. Like this is the most excited I've been to like try out a new Void Titan thing in quite some time. Probably since Void 3.0 first became a thing, because I really wanted that like that like kind of sentinel tank support kind of Titan role for Void Titan, and it had it for a little bit when that Void was up. And I think they like kind of like nerfed some things on Void Titan for a while. And just it's not
and like it also doesn't hurt that you're getting a new super.
And also like Strand became a thing, and that really just became the actual like support Titan role, and had like a lot more offensive capabilities. So like this bringing more of this stuff in and like kind of giving a more Void stuff is like exciting. So I'm hoping this stuff is fun to use and makes Void Titan feel better as the characters. But there's more stuff coming to Void Titan. We'll get to that. So let's move in. I want to move on to these because there's still a lot of stuff to go over. So we have arc subclasses next. So we just want to do the subclass stuff, and then I guess we'll.
Do you want to do Stasis?
Yeah. Do you want to just like rotate back up to Stasis?
Yeah, let's
do all of the subclasses at once. I guess.
Yeah. Let's roll up.
Stasis is going to be the most, I think.
Yeah, Stasis is getting a lot of changes.
Like basically Stasis 2.0. I feel
full
like.
rework.
It's pretty much a Stasis 2.0, and like they said, they're giving a new keyword to Stasis. I think that's like one of the biggest things. And it is called Frost Armor. We've seen that kind of teased in some stuff.
Talked about it for a long
time. But here we go. Here's what it is. I'm just going to skip to that point in the Stasis stuff here. Frost Armor is a stacking buff that reduces incoming damage with greater damage reduction as your stacks increase. At launch, Frost Armor will be granted from a variety of sources, including the Tectonic, Grim, and Glacial Harvest aspects, fragments, and also exotic armor. By default, you can build to a maximum number of 5 stacks of Frost Armor that lasts 9 seconds, but with the newly reworked Whisper of Rime fragment, Frost Armor's maximum lifetime increases to 13 seconds and can build to a maximum of 8 stacks. Unlike the Stasis Shard Overshield, Frost Armor remains active from when your super is cast, though its effectiveness is significantly lower while your super is active. So there you go. I think we made this kind of guess when we were in one of the previous videos where we saw it, but it is going to be damage resistance and it's like a stacking buff that you're getting. So here's some of the ways you can get it. They kind of go over a bunch of stuff. So let's see. The Frost Armor keyword, you are fortified by a layer of durable stasis matter, reducing incoming damage. Frost Armor damage resistance grows stronger as you gain additional stacks. It reduces PvE damage from combatants by 4.5% per stack, and enemy player by 2% per stack. Like they said, the Whisper of Rime fragment has been reworked, and it no longer grants a stasis overshield when collecting a stasis shard. It now increases the maximum duration of a stack count of your armor. I guess is basically when you pick over a stasis shard, you'll get a stack of armor.
Yeah, I got all the original definitions pulled up. Just if you need a reference point for a Whisper.
Cool.
Yeah, collecting a stasis shard grants a small amount of overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional shards grants to the overshield and refreshes the timer. So this really is very similar to that.
Yeah. It's just a stacking buff that is coming from that. So let's see. One long-standing piece of feedback we received is that stasis shards felt too limited, requiring a specific aspect to generate, because stasis shards are created for all allied players at once rather than being shared consumed resource like Tangles or a locally only source like Fire Sprites and the other elemental stuff. Mm-hmm. It could be easy for the number of stasis shards on the field to spiral out of control if we were to make their creation intrinsic to the damage type, and instead we're increasing the number of sources that players can build into to generate them. And there's more on this shortly. So here's basically, but we're increasing their value when collected when a Grim Harvest aspect is equipped. So I believe all 3 of these aspects are like the thing to like make a shard, because I remember we got all of these like per class, where I think it was like defeat a frozen target, and you get with like a melee ability or something, and you make a thing.
Yeah,
I think that's like there's each
breaking
of those.
Shattered stuff for Titans. It's freezing targets for Warlock and slowing targets
for Hunters.
Basically.
So here you go. So yeah, while Grim, Tectonic, and Glacial Harvest equipped stasis shards grant a small amount of health and a stack of Frost Armor. Large stasis shards from Grim Harvest grant more health and Frost Armor stacks. So I think Grim is the Hunter one.
Hunter one, I believe, yeah.
So that makes sense, because for slowing purposes, you put yourself much more vulnerable. And Hunter has like one of their main ones for slowing is that Hunter dodge, where you like dodge and makes it slow. Tectonic Harvest now creates a stasis shard when shattering a frozen target, in addition to shattering stasis crystals. That's pretty great. That's the Titan one.
That's a huge change.
Yeah,
honestly.
that's a pretty big buff for sure. Our intention is that Frost Armor can be granted through a variety of sources. As part of this, we've updated Renewal Grasp and Ballador's Wrathweavers to directly grant Frost Armor, rather than their own custom damage resistance or Stasis Shard over Shield. So, Renew Grass replaced generic damage resistance with Frost Armor. On entering your Dusk Field grenade volume, you and your allies gain a stack of Frost Armor about every 0.9 seconds, while in the volume, an additional Frost Armor stack is granted, resetting your timer. So for this one, this is a
nerf.
This is technically a nerf, because how it currently works within Renewal Grasps is like when you go into it, you get like an instant 2 times damage reduction, and with this version of it, you go in and you basically get like a stack, and then you get a stack, and you get a stack, and like even in the overall stack you can get, which I think they said like the normal stack is ×5. That is like overall lower damage reduction than the 2 times resist that Renewal Grass has now. So yeah, it is overall a nerf. But I will say I think the somewhat positive thing is like I believe, as Renewal Grass is now, that 2 times resist like immediately drops when you leave those bubbles. Where I think in this case you will take Frost Armor like out of it with you, so you could just like go in, get a bunch of Frost Armor, then come back out. Mm-hmm. And like with a proper hunter setup, you can get these grenades back pretty fast. So like you could probably keep up Frost Armor for quite a bit amount of time with this. So,
I would bet,
so I can see why like they maybe are bringing down the reduction a little bit. So we'll have to see how it feels. I've been using Renewal Grass for a while and do like it. So we'll be curious how this is. And like I will say, with a lot of the other stasis changes for Hunter, it does sound like they'll still be really good for sure.
Mm-hmm. And this more like directly benefits the fire team that they're with as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Valador's Wrath Reavers,
this is a pretty big buff to this, where they're replaced
especially
Stasis
with
Shard.
The stuff that they talk about
late in the later
armor
parts.
article.
Yeah, the armor
Holy
article
shit.
is like the bigger buff to it for sure. Replace Stasis Shard over Shield with Frost Armor when you activate your Rift, or use your Winter's Wrath Shatter attack. And I think wasn't the other thing where it's like
I have it pulled up here. Okay. In the exotic armor tuning, they also say activating your Rift when you have Frost Pulse gives you and nearby allies maximum Frost Armor stacks.
Yeah.
And then whenever you activate your Shatter attack, which is like your right click on your Winter's Wrath, where you like shoot the wave out.
Yeah.
You grant nearby allies maximum stacks of Frost Armor, and then whenever your super expires, you get maximum stacks of Frost Armor. Holy shit!
Yeah, that's like hella damage reduction. Yeah.
Because that would give you like a stasis damage surge as well. I wonder if it's in addition to that. So
I know that like the way that they typically do these,
it's in addition to that.
It's like unless it specifically mentions otherwise. So I think that might be an insane thing to run now.
Yeah, that makes that like a really strong exotic compared to what it was.
100%.
And that like plays into like what I've always like kind of used. Stasis, like the Stasis Warlock Super 4, where it's not really like I'm going in and doing a bunch of damage, or like
it's a shutdown.
It's a shutdown, or it's like oh shit, like the 2 other people in my GM have died. I'm gonna pop this and survive and go revive them, and now that'll give them it's like, and I'll get Frost Armor protection and damage reduction for doing that stuff. And if they're up,
they'll be a little bit tankier too. It's
pretty useful. They
took the feedback that Stasis dies too often, when they were like, all right, cool.
We can fix that for sure. So let's say to help players increase capabilities to generate Stasis Shards, we've created a brand new fragment that offers a straightforward method that can slot into many different build types. Whisper of Chill. Stasis, Weapon, Final Blows have a chance to create a Stasis Shard. Yep, that's pretty straightforward there.
This is the chillest Whisper for sure.
Yeah, it's the chillest, that chillest fragment right there. And again, as part of this effort, we've also reworked Whisper of Change. This fragment has been a popular choice since its inception due to its ease of use and stat bonus. However, its gameplay benefit was frequently difficult to read and ran counter to core gameplay loops revolve around creating and destroying crystals and the core human compulsion to destroy every crystal you see.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
To make Whisper of Change fully successful, it required cooperation from teammates in a way that sometimes took success out of the user's hands. This resulted in situations where by shattering a stasis crystal for damage, players could unknowingly reduce their or their teammates' combat effectiveness. They introduced negative social friction that we wanted to remove outright.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Negative social friction is an incredible sentence.
Yeah, I like that too.
It's like the most dev speak
of the most dev,
It's so funny.
We're going to reduce the negative social friction in our game.
Anybody thinking about it, you're like, no, I know exactly what that means, and I have absolutely seen that happen.
Yeah. I've lived that. Yeah,
I'm going to start using that phrase.
I'm not enjoying this negative social friction right now.
Yeah, can you please not destroy my tangles? It's giving me some negative social friction right now.
That absolutely fucking sucks, and I love it so much. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys need to really pull together for this raid. I'm really getting some negative social friction right now. Perfect. We've pivoted Whisper of Chains to instead focus on chaining creation of stasis shards and frost armor when paired with a harvest aspect. So Whisper of Chains no longer grants passive damage resistance when near a stasis crystal or frozen target, and now grants a chance to create a stasis shard when defeating a target while you have one or more stacks of frost armor. So there you go. You can just make even more shards on shards.
I've seen a lot of people like a little bummed about that, but also like everything that they have said in the paragraphs about that is 100% totally right.
Yeah, Whisper of Chains is like just the most inconsistent.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's entirely out of your hands. Like, you can absolutely do everything right, and then people like me will roll up and accidentally just start punching your fucking crystal.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw tangles at this big pile of crystals.
There's just nothing you can do.
Whatever,
and like. I'm not doing it to be malicious. I'm doing it because it's there and I have to break it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, they're gonna melt away in like 3 seconds anyway. I'm just gonna blow them up. Whatever.
Very much solo only content.
Yeah,
that's how I always thought about Whisper of Chains.
It was very good in solo content.
Yeah,
and
I think that a change had to be made. I just don't know if there was ever going to be a right change. For
this one's fine. I think.
I think this is fine too, because like we're talking about like this being about frost armor, which gives like a much more global and universal like damage reduction to like obtain for people. So like where we're gonna have like all this damage resistance from frost armor, and also have this one to like stack with that to be crazy. Like it makes sense to like
we're talking about like a different stasis, right? Like it had no real DR before, like consistent. Now it has like this buff that you can potentially keep up forever, right? Like
forever, and like build into
They've like taken Woven Mail and made that a bit more exclusive in changes that we'll get to later that I considered brutal. But like looking at this, it's like, it seems like they kind of want you to always have frost armor at all times forever.
Yeah.
So
at least a stack of it, right?
And like obviously this is going to be a thing you can also obtain on Prismatic. So that's also going to be this is going to be Prismatic. Well, Prismatic can get, I think, Woven Mail in some ways too, right? I don't know.
Yes,
I can't remember off the top of my head, but
we know at least one fragment.
Yeah, you can get Overshield in there too. Fuck. Yeah, so that's gonna be nuts.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah.
Prismatic might actually rip you guys.
I'm here. Yeah.
Turns out. So we have our final fragment we rework is Whisper of Torment. This fragment is a sleeper pick that does its job well, but its actual output has too many variables to keep track of and require the player to be at critical health for its largest bonus. So we're simplifying things a bit. Grenade energy gains are no longer dependent on your current health value. Base grenade energy regeneration amounts per incoming damage increased from 5% to 7%. And while you have frost armor, energy per damage event increases from 7% to 12%. So that's pretty big.
12 is fucking crazy.
If you were sad about those renewal grass changes, just throw this fucking on here to have your grenade all the fucking time, basically.
12 is because like think about walking out in front of one of those shitty colossuses with the heir apparent machine gun, and you just get hit like for 1 second, and it's like, all right, I got my grenade back.
Got my grenade, and I just throw it on me.
You can throw out that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy because this was just like a blanket get grenade energy when you take damage.
Yeah.
Did we talk about Whisper Fractures?
Well, I think it said no longer increases melee energy regeneration while surrounded by enemies. So I figured it was just that. I don't know if it was more.
I don't think it's any.
You now get a stack of frost armor when you shatter a frozen target. So
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
With
that seems like
attack,
a very
cool.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very Titan focus, but also Warlock for when you free stuff. And
and the Hunter has 2 melees, so
smack it to death. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be pretty good. So then last fragment we have another brand new Stasis fragment, Whisper of Reversal. Is a close combat tool for our Frost Armored users, adding a chance for additional crowd control if you're willing to take the risk. While you're Frost Armored dealing or receiving physical melee, i.e. not projectile melee, damage slows your victim or attacker. So that's pretty cool.
That feels very much like here's a PvP whisper for you.
Yeah.
Because if I'm playing like a GM, I don't want to be that close.
Yeah, I don't want to be. If I'm getting punched by dudes in that scenario, I'm probably
it's over already at that point. Yeah.
With DR though, if you have 8 stacks of Frost Armor up, I could definitely see it being okay, well I can take this and I'm slowing, and I love the idea of an Overload champion punching you and then getting stunned. That's very
really funny.
Yeah,
it's extremely good.
That is pretty funny. So now that's largely the fragment changes. Tons of other stasis changes and buffs also happening that we're now going to get into. So now let's talk Shatter. While we want the focus of Stasis to be primarily in high-value crowd control abilities, in the current sandbox, shattering a frozen target doesn't always result in the payout that other damage types are able to deliver with their capstone keywords. Definitely agree with this. Shattering has not felt as potent as something like a Stasis. Even just
ignitions,
or even simple, just grabbing a normal tangle and throwing it into a crowd of dudes.
True.
Does not feel as good as shattering stuff these days.
So good.
Jolt
is so good. Yeah. I agree.
Especially in high difficulty activities. So misjudging your ability to capitalize on a freeze can lead to dire consequences. To help address this, we're bumping a base shatter damage versus PvE combatants from 200 to 400. This does not affect stasis crystal detonations, but simultaneously we're fixing an issue where boss combatants receive double damage from auto shattering, so we don't quadruple the shatter damage.
Yeah, I bet.
So that was a good fix.
So that is definitely a fix. I think some people will be a little bit butthurt about this because this is definitely how they did some boss damages. But you are doing.
Oh, I guess
you're doing a lot more damage overall. But this is how people were doing the Stasis
Titan shit.
The Stasis Titan shit where you're just insta melting a boss because you can dunk all the crystals
I think that's
on
how
them.
People were taking out Riven. Sure.
Yeah,
so that's not going to be a thing anymore. Probably,
good buff.
but for the overall betterment of Stasis shattering, doing literally double the damage is good.
I think this is fine. Yeah.
This is great. I am so excited about this. Bleak Watcher is back on the menu, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. So here we're now going to get into the overall class specific buffs. So the Hunter or the Warlock was first with the Ice Flare bolts. So this is that's a fragment for them, right? That's not fragment, aspect, right? Where the Ice Flare bolts is it's you freeze when you break when you
the tracker.
Yeah, you take a person out and it makes little trackers. Yes. So they're increasing the maximum number of Seekers created before going on cooldown from 5 to 7. So going to make some extra freezing little trackers.
I was already very potent, I would say.
It super was, especially if you're running Osmiomancy.
This is very good.
No, it's they said here,
Stasis is going to be cracked.
They said here though, Shadebinder is largely in good shape across all game modes. Granted, being the only Stasis subclass I play, I think I would kind of I am inclined to agree. I don't really see a whole lot of Stasis of the other two.
The battlefield
the other
controller,
two,
right?
Exactly.
Hunter.
And they
Hunter
lean
was
into that very well.
Hunter, Stasis Hunter was very good when Stasis came out and was for a while. But obviously, all three of Stasis subclasses were super good when it first came out. But then they hit it with a ton of debuffs, and obviously Hunter was just an absolute fucking terror in PvP mainly. So they changed a lot of stuff like that. And it definitely got hit pretty hard. Stasis Titan, at least for me personally, was always one that just felt too awkward, even though there was some decent things in there. And then they nerfed that one super hardcore, even compared to I think Hunter and Warlock did in those nerfs, because it's a lot of its movement stuff got hit really hard. It's and some of the other stuff, like it got like the little like ice javelin was originally, I don't think that very good to begin with, or at least I just didn't really enjoy it. So I'm curious to see how it's going to feel with the buffs they're giving it.
I just love that, there's so much text for all the other ones, and then the Stasis Warlocks, they're just like, hey, keep doing you, kid.
Yeah.
Hey, kiddo, Bleak Watcher's going to be fun on Prismatic, dude.
Bleak Watcher has been good and always is still very good.
It has never been bad.
It's never been bad. The super has like a very like good place where you can use it in. So it's been fine even with like some of the nerfs it's gotten. Where like these other two definitely needed these buffs, like the Hunter one specifically, and like I do actually like a lot of the Hunter buffs that are getting in here. So let's go into that. Let's talk Hunter. With Winter Shroud included in the Prismatic Hunter kit, we knew we need to increase its viability in high difficulty content. Agreed. We're getting up close and personal gets much riskier. We also want to provide a smoother gameplay loop between Winter Shroud and other Revenant abilities. We've updated Winter Shroud to provide a moderate boost to class ability regeneration when you slow a target from any source and a brief window of damage reduction from PvE combatants when activated. So Winter Shroud is the Hunter aspect where you do a dodge and it makes like the big freeze pulse to slow dudes. So that's basically going to now have... When you freeze enemies from even that, or just from like you get the Hunters like little shuriken melees slow dudes as well, so you can all of those things will increase the class ability regeneration of your dodge in general. So that's nice. I like that. The bonus is reduced in PvP game modes, but it now grants PvE damage reduction when activated. So that is definitely going to be needed because for that to be potentially viable in any way whatsoever.
I know that there's probably like a time limit restrictions and that's why they didn't do this, but don't you think it's strange that they went through all this effort to add a keyword for damage resistance and then they give just some vague damage resistance? It's so funny to me.
Yeah, I guess it's just because like I'll be curious like how
then
much
you'd have like 10 seconds of damage resistance versus just like maybe a little bit.
Yeah, like this seems like there's it might have just been something like that, right? Where it's just like if you could I could see a scenario where like if you did the dodge and we're getting frost armor, there'd be a way to abuse that because you're also then getting like.
Of course.
Where this is like making it a separate thing, like it's saves them from that, right? It is funny.
It is very funny.
But for sure.
Also, like slowing from any source, like chill clip weapon, and you always have your dodge up. Basically, I think that's really cool. There's like a I don't know, Weave Walk. What is it? Not Weave Walk, not that one. Weaver's Trance buff that's also like that. That's passive and great. And it's like, oh wow, there's some spicy buffs in here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Hunter, the Touch of Winter aspect has been widely used by our Stasis Hunter players since its introduction in Season of the Splicer, primarily when paired with Duskfield Grenade for high uptime zone denial or Glacier Grenade to shatter dive combos. The latter has struggled in PvE content in recent seasons as the sandbox has matured, so we're making a targeted change to increase its PvE potency without returning to an era of the Crucible where you had to fear rounding around a corner into a barrage of ice. That's fair.
Yeah, super real though. So real.
Touch of Winter's Cold Snap Grenade upgrade has been widely underused since its inception, so we're implementing a larger rework to its functionality. So here you go, Touch of Winter. It's adding an additional Stasis Crystal to the ring, so instead of 6, it's going up to 7. Creation Ring now forms in over 2.27 seconds rather than instantly, so that's to like kind of negate some of the shatter diving potential in PvP. That's funny.
It's still going to happen.
That's very specific.
With another
very
crystal
funny.
there,
it's going to hurt.
Happen.
Cold Snap Grenade, longer chains, and additional time while Touch of Winter's equipped. Instead, Seekers now duplicate when they freeze a target. Second and third Seeker chains now create a medium or large stasis crystal, respectively, rather than every chain creating a small crystal. So that's interesting. That's going to be interesting. I'd be curious to see if any like that these are enough to like get people to change off of Duskfield. But the thing that makes Duskfield so potent is like it makes it much bigger.
Renewal.
It makes the stasis crystal and then you put renewal on and it makes it even better. Like now we're still going to be getting like frost armor and other things from Renewal Grasp. Like I still feel like that's going to be the play, but we'll see. This is the one that was like, yes, this was the most needed, which is the Silence and Squall. Silence and Squall super are still effective at locking down a room full of enemies, which does a small touch up on its ability to roam the battlefield and how quickly it converts from a slow to a freeze on PvE combatants. We think this increases its viability in target-rich environments. So increase the maximum speed by 10. The Squall Storm now slows down when a target is within the area of its effect to reduce distances where it overshoots target, increase damage and slow tick rate versus PvE combatants by about 40%, bring its freeze time to approximately 0.8 seconds to 0.5 seconds. So yes, all of
that's
that.
A good change.
All of that was very much needed.
You almost never see this shit in PvE. I feel like it's almost entirely just a PvP super.
Yeah, because it was too like from its original inception, it was just like way slower. It does not hit as hard, and like it was just never really useful in like they were saying, like it was never really after a certain level of content, it just was useless as a super. Mm-hmm. So this at least like helps it do a little bit more. Like at least we'll have some freezing potential on stuff. So like that'll nice. So this potentially will give it a little bit more use cases in higher end stuff. So I'm liking that.
You will see me out here running for my fucking life on every PvP map, though.
Yes.
Absolutely sprinting, screaming, hating this buff, hating it. Yeah.
You'll just be on you'll be on Prismatic Warlock making like 40 ice grenades anyway too. So.
Yeah,
that's
you can just make your own chaos.
It'll even out.
So last we have Titan here, which definitely I think got like a lot of the most changes, but I also was in the group that thinks it needed the most for sure.
I think it needed it the most. I almost never saw a Behemoth player.
Yeah, because I
feel like Stasis Titan has always been the run of the litter.
It's been the run of the litter, and like the thing with it originally was just like it was stupid good in PvP. And then like that caused them to like nerf it really hard, and then it
into the fucking
and they
ground.
nerfed it in the ground, and it's never really been back.
And then outside of those like Riven videos you see of the Shatter shit, like that's it. That's the only time.
It's never really been a worthwhile reason to use it, and some of the stuff has always felt awkward, like the melee and some of the other stuff. So hopefully these changes will help it. So here we go. Shiver Strike is a melee ability with a higher barrier to entry than most of our roster, and while that is intended at a high level, there are instances where it can misread the player's intent and fail to find a target as a result. To help mitigate this, we're increasing its ability to find and lunge towards targets in its now larger search area and increasing its damage versus PvE targets. These changes are also affect the Glacial Quake light attack. In addition, Glacial Quake will now auto-sprint when the player starts moving forward, so no more awkwardly bashing your face into a crystal you were meaning to shatter after performing a heavy slam. So that, I've definitely had that before, where you straight up just do a big heavy slam and make a ton of grenades, and you like go to forward and you just like smack your face and you're just stuck there for a second and go like, oh, I gotta get around this grenade, or now I gotta like use my punch, and like you'll go flying off it's just like it was always a very awkward feeling. Like super in certain like spaces, environments in the game. So Shiver Strike increasing PvE damage by 10%, increased the size of the melee target search cone by 50%, and increased maximum lunge tracking angular speed from 7 degrees per second to 21 degrees per second. So I think it'll just be like faster and have like a little bit better tracking. That's what that says.
Yeah.
And then Glacial Quake now automatically begins sprinting when the player throttles forward. Good. So again, Cryoclasm is a Titan aspect. That's the one where like you have like the super extended slide, and that, like you can use that to like go through and shatter crystals and stuff. So with its original release in Beyond Light, it was much more powerful because you just do it all the time, and it was like much more potent. And they nerfed it at some point. I forget what change they made at that point. But it was the sprint. That's what it was. Like originally you could just do it whenever, but then they added like you have to briefly sprint and then you can do it. And now it seems like they're reverting that, but they're putting a 4-second cooldown on it. So you could just like go right into a slide now. But then you'll have a 4-second cooldown, and then once that's up, you can do it again. So I'm fine with that. I'm better than that, than the like the kind of weird start and stop you had to do to like try and get it originally. So I think that's a fine middle ground, I think.
Sure, yeah.
It doesn't make it insanely oppressive in PvP. So last up is Diamond Lance, which I think was also definitely one that needed buffs.
It needed some help real
bad. And then they also, maybe they mentioned it here, but it is also good. It's one of the starting things you get on Prismatic.
Yes.
It's worth mentioning. So Diamond Lance, we're making a couple of quality of life changes to help make it easier to pick up on the battlefield and are generally improving its ease of use by increasing the size of its thrown projectile detonation versus all targets and its slam attacks versus PvE combatants. So you increase the thrown Diamond Lance detonation radius from 3.5 meters to 5 meters. Increase Diamond Lance slam detonation radius from 6.75 to 8 meters versus PvE combatants. Diamond Lance now shatters stasis crystals on direct impact. I think that's going to be big.
That's great.
I love that.
That's huge. Yeah.
And then reduce Diamond Lance pickup interaction from 0.2 seconds to 0.1, matching strand tangles. And the Diamond Lance pickup interaction radiance from 0.7 meters to 3 meters, matching strand tangles. That is insane when I saw that.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't. It was one of those things that, like, when you realize it, you're just like, "Holy shit! Why was that so small?"
I can force pull these fucking Diamond Lances to me.
But also, it makes sense why anytime I would ever see one on the ground and just grab one, that I'm like, this feels weird. It felt off, but in a way I couldn't specify, and now I'm like, oh, it's because I had to be breathing down its fucking neck.
Yeah, actually
within the Diamond Lance.
Yeah. So that was really good changes. This is like the first time I've read Stasis Titan buffs and gone like, you know what? I'm gonna try Stasis Titan next in final shape. I'm gonna try it out. I have like a Hoarfrost.
You'll be using part of it.
I have a Hoarfrost. Right? Yeah, I have a Hoarfrost build that I did make a while ago because why not? And then. This makes that seem like cooler because I can see scenarios where it's like, oh, let me make a big stasis barricade shield or barricade thing, and then just have that around, and then grab like a lance and just chuck the lance into it and fucking just make a big stasis explosion because that's fucking fun. I'm down for that. And yeah, overall, a lot of stasis. Yeah, we're like one of you said, stasis 2.0. This is pretty much what this feels like. Where a lot of things are getting reworked. We're getting a whole new keyword that's gonna be playing into it, and I think it sounds pretty decent. That's
the
the
loop
big
of
thing.
stasis is changing, right? I think it is gonna be more about both locking down the battlefield and giving yourself damage resistance and keeping that rolling.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be fun and different, and it's cool that we now have 2 subclasses that allow you to build into damage resistance. And
nice.
This is the more catch-all one, right? Woven Mail, like I said, is now even more exclusive than it used to be, right? And this is more everything you can do can in some way give you frost armor if you're working for it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into, now we have a bunch of the other subclasses that we're going to break down here. So we have the Arc subclasses. First up is the Hunter. These ones are okay. So I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, but here we go. Arc Strider has found a solid niche in mid-level PvE content, but struggles to execute its gameplay loop at our highest tier of challenge. With a new super aspect on the way, we're not getting any large changes to the kit with this release. We plan to evaluate how it's feeling with the full package as we go. I think that is fair. I'm curious to see how the aspect and the super feels. They could be really good in certain content, but I don't know. We'll just have to see. For now, we focus on adding keywords, utility to Arc Staff, and increasing the uptime of Disorienting Blow to make it a stronger choice in comparison to Combination Blow. We are also increasing players' ability to survive when using Tempest Strike. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to do a lot more to get me to try and do Tempest Strike because it's still just not happening. Which now grants a short duration of PvE damage resistance. Although damage resistance on Arc Warlock or Arc Hunter would be very nice, and I think because Arc in general, Arc Staff now the heavy palm strike and heavy air slam blind enemies. That's okay, I guess. But at the same time, it's also that thing of I'm gonna be popping my whole ass super just to blind some dudes or
or you could throw a stick in them and then unload your entire heavy ammo clip, right?
Totally.
Or I can do what I've already been doing with disorienting blow that is now better because it's cooldown decreased from 10 seconds to 9 seconds, where I just do the lethal current and just dodge, punch a dude, blinds them, and jolts everything else around it. And like that's and I don't have to use my super, like you said. I can just then do that and they're blinded and then just throw a fucking staff in their face. They're gonna have to do a lot more at Arc Staff. As much as Arc Staff is like a fucking sick looking super, like they're gonna do more to it.
It's not as forgotten as what the fuck is the Void one that I don't even know the name.
Knights the
Blade,
Shadow Blade
dancing.
It's
Shadow
like
Blade.
It's like Shadows. Is it Shadow Step? No,
maybe.
Fucking
nobody
I don't think
nobody
it's
touches that suit.
All I know is the meme is what is it? Gwynson Vest. Here, I'm gonna look up Gwynson Vest in my inventory because I know it's Spectral Blades.
That's
the name of it.
Spectral Blades.
Nova Warp, right?
Nova Warp has gotten buffs though.
People know what Nova Warp is.
Yeah, and that's also
we didn't even know what Spectral Blades are.
That one has gotten like buffs though. To be fair, like in like recency, I know people aren't using it still, but like
we just got a Nova Bomb buff, dude. Like no one is ever touching that.
So that's cool. And then Tempest Strike again. I don't really care, even though it's getting additional PvE damage resistance versus PvE combatants. I guess it just depends on maybe how big that damage resist is, but like, I don't see myself using it on Arc Hunter or within Prismatic, because Prismatic has like way better melee options to do stuff with. But anyway, next up we have Warlock, Arc Warlock.
Let's go.
I'm just gonna go right to I'm just gonna go right to some the actual buffs.
The bullets. Yeah, that's fine.
Because we got a lot more to go through still.
We have more left. Yeah.
Lightning Surge. We add additional damage resistance versus PvE combatants when activated. It's lingering for a short duration. So Lightning Surge. Yeah, Lightning Surge is definitely something I was gonna try on Prismatic. For sure, with the arcane needle
especially
stuff.
With charges, are you kidding me?
That's gonna be really cool. So now getting like a damage resistance after doing one of those, and you can do multiple of them in a row. That seems really good. Ball Lightning is getting its final arming shape size increased by 30%, and then they fixed an issue where the arming shape was offset upward, higher than maximum damage range of the projectile detonation. So I think it's.
I don't know if I fully understand that, but we'll see.
I think it's just. I think it's just going to be like a better. They say it here. We've also increased the proximity detonation, so I think it's just a.
Yeah.
It's just like it has a better like proximity, like when it's
better tracking whenever it's like supposed to explode. As opposed to
exactly.
That's what I assume.
When you shoot it off,
that's a feel thing.
It has like
totally.
You don't have to be as like on point with it. It sounds like in PvE I think it's just in general. And then Chain Lightning is getting increased secondary chain projectile based damage from 27 to 54. So it's a pretty big one.
Dope. It's fucking dope.
Because considering Jolt is a thing and like that, I think that definitely needed it. So it sounds pretty good.
I also liked using Chain Lightning more because the cooldown was shorter.
Oh, sure.
And that worked out better for Lightning Surge, but also if I'm using the Stasis melee or the Strand melee, who fucking cares? So
This will be more. That'll be more for like an Arc build if you want to run it there now.
Totally. Right.
So then next up, the Arc Titan buffs. These are I'm down. I like a lot of these as well. Thunderclap is getting additional PvE. Damage resistance when you activate it, and then you'll have it for like a little bit short duration after it as well. So they increase the minimum, and they're also increasing its damage as well. It's increased the minimum damage versus PvE combatants by 20%. They're increasing maximum damage versus PvE combatants by 33%. So like they're literally bringing all of it up. So like the minimum it can do is more, and the maximum it can do is more. And they increased the maximum damage versus enemy players by 14%. So I think that's good because, Thunderclap is the one where you straight up just pause and got to charge. And, I like it a lot. Like, I use it on my Arc Titan build. I use the helmet God, what's its name? Is it Skull Fort? I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I believe you mean Eternal Warrior.
No Eternal Warrior, no Eternal Warrior over here. I know like
Insurmountable. Point contact counterbrace is the arms.
The arms. Right? So yeah, the one I use is Insurmountable Skull Fort. And it basically makes it arc melee kills, trigger health regen, and restore melee energy. So like you can literally like if you have crowds of dudes, you can just do one of those into a big crowd, get all your health back, and you have that punch immediately back. So like that's just gonna be even better. That build I already have. So that's great.
Yeah, cool. There should be more charge moves in Destiny.
I agree.
Agreed.
Just very satisfying.
They're cool as heck, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also the arc punch that Titan has on Prismatic. So that's pretty sick. So definitely try that on there as well. So we also have the knockout aspect, which I know is like it was more of a menace in PvP.
But this is a PvP nerf for sure, but a PvE buff for sure.
Yeah, because that's been the thing with it, where it's like, I think this is one of those things where like it was really strong when it first came out in both, but then they had to like nerf it because it was so good in PvP. So I think now they're trying to like even it out. But yeah, here it is. Knockout is increasing bonus damage granted to powered melee attacks versus PvE combats from 25% to 50%. So again, like that Thunderclap is getting the initial buff it's getting on top of this buff with Knockout on top of that. So and Knockout also this is probably going to be the play for Prismatic Titans because knockout aspect is an aspect on Prismatic Titan. Yep. So you can literally do Knockout, the Strand, Frenzy Blade, 3 melee charges, and Consecration.
Yep.
That's going to be...
punch the Witness in the fucking face,
You're goddamn right. That's the Titan way. You know
it is. You're going to... Consecration is going to be buck wild in the final shape.
Awesome.
We'll get to that. It's like, it's already pretty good right now, but it's like...
Crazy.
It's going to be even better like on Prismatic. It's kind of wild. And then let's see, it no longer unstuns. So they reworked the healing behavior. So it no longer unstuns health regeneration on melee defeats, and now instantly grants a chunk of healing that scales with the type of targeted players. So a player gives 30 health points, minor combatants gives 50, majors give 75, and champions give 100. So yeah.
Yeah, note how players way lower than even a fucking red bar, dude.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's the PvP nerf part of this. Because, like, the move was to do the Juggernaut Shield into Shotgun Shot Punch, and then you can take as much damage as you fucking need 100%. Because you will punch that person and regen your whole health bar back. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So a couple other things that are happening. Touch of Thunder is getting... buffed as well, which I think that's Titan. That's a Titan aspect. That was the thing that was like when Arc 3.0 first came out, and you had Hoyle, Heart of Inmost Light, and Storm Grenades, and it was stupid powerful, and they nerfed a bunch of that.
Season of Plunder was a wild fucking
was a tile with Arc 3.0. So they're rolling
list for more information.
Yeah. YouTube.com/Tower. Check out our ranking tier lists. But they're buffing some of the stuff from that to kind of bring it back in line. But the Storm Grenade for the Touch of Thunder with equipped will make Storm Grenade increase its stacking. It's increasing its tracking speed when targeting PvE combatants by between 0.5 and 1 meter per second, increasing with the storm's lifetime. So basically, as it's around, it'll get fast. It'll increase in speed to PvE combatants. That's cool. And then the Lightning Grenade with Touch of Thunder equipped will now apply Jolt on the first damage event rather than prior. So there you go. Both very good. Storm Grenade and Lightning Grenade are sounding pretty good. Next up, these are just general arc grenade buffs for everybody. Yeah. Storm Grenade is getting its damage increased versus PvE combatants by 20%. Or 20, yeah, and then the Touch of Thunder variant damage is unchanged.
Can't fuck Touch of Thunder.
Yeah. Touch of Thunder is Skip Grenade is getting increased damage versus PvE combatants by 15%, and so is the Arc Bolt Grenade. So
yeah, I think both of those definitely could have used it.
Yeah, for sure, because I feel like
never touched them once
same.
after. Like I was like, oh, let me try this out, and then I threw one, and I'm like, I'm never touching.
Yeah,
that again,
I'm good.
So.
I used to like arc bolt grenade like earlier in PV, early in Destiny 2 era, but yeah, it's definitely storm grenades and like arc star grenades and pulse grenades have like very much
pulse grenades are my go-to typically.
Are pretty much
like, especially with Jolt, like it's just so insane. So.
And the fragment that like makes them last longer, very good. Totally. I was curious because I couldn't remember. So Warlock has storm grenades on Prismatic, and then obviously Titan has pulse grenades. Which is really interesting. So that's a good buff for Warlocks on Prismatic with storm grenades.
Yeah. Arc. So a bunch of arc fragments are also getting. Oh god, my mouse is going crazy. Arc fragments are getting buffed. So first up, we got Spark of Recharge. Ability regeneration bonus now persists until the player returns to full shields, rather than deactivating as soon as shields began to recharge. Do you have Spark of Recharge by chance?
Yeah, while critically wounded, your melee and grenade energy regenerate more quickly.
Okay, so just they do that for a little bit longer period of time now.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, yeah. Spark of Beacons now also triggers on defeating targets with arc power weapons while amplified. So
this is the fucking spicy one.
Is this the one that makes it so like
the blinding one?
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
While you are amplified, your arc special weapon
Thunderlord about to
create
go
a blinding
crazy
explosion. Yeah, dude, every fucking arc heavy weapon about to go crazy.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
It's so easy to get amplified because you just have to kill like 3 things.
Yeah,
right.
Thunderlord is a good one to call out.
Fucking crazy.
Let me look what else we got.
Even like Song
grenade
of Your
launchers,
Youth, like
there's a lot of grenade launchers are going to be really good with this.
Any honestly like arc machine gun.
Yeah, will be pretty good
for this. Like
grenade launchers,
that's fucking
like
nuts.
I have
fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, that is going to be really good.
This was like low key one of the best arc fragments. Like if you had made like a Cold Heart build or a Indebted Kindness build with this shit, like you were missing out because it was so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And then lastly, we have Spark of Frequency. Now also grants 15 weapon stability on powered melee hit in addition to its reload benefit.
So melee hits greatly increase your reload speed for a short duration.
Okay, so melee and weapon stability. Okay, sure. All right, let's move on to solar subclasses. So now we have
Warlocks. You're doing great. There's nothing here for you.
Yeah,
there's truly nothing here for you. And
I think that's very funny.
It's mostly
granted, they did spend a lot of time talking about but like, it is also very funny that like for the purposes of Prismatic, they're like, hey, you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Keep doing what
you have. You have healing grenades already on you.
You know, we're getting Song of Flame, we're getting Hellions, right? Like, there's a lot of new stuff there. I imagine that stuff is going to be very good.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. I like a lot of these Solar Hunter changes for sure. So first up, they're buffing Lightweight Knife. So now it's going to have 2 charges by default. They've made the animation speed for throwing it faster by 33%, and they reduced the suppression time between throws, so you'll be able to just be like a 2 quick throw. They did mention, though, however, it does not stack with Ophidius Spaith, which is a hunter chest piece that gives you like a second knife charge, so it won't be like you get 3 knife charges by that. And it also gives you like it gives you knife charges, and like I think if you get like precision knife kills, it like refunds you, I think is what it is, or something like that.
I think so.
But that doesn't like stack with the things Lightweight Knife is doing now. But they said they might change it in the future. They're going to be monitoring it. Knock 'em down, which is the one of the hunter's solar aspects. I believe this is like if it's like you get enough precision kills, you get like a stacking. I can probably just try and see if I can find it on my, because I use it on
Knock 'em down. This is like the reload speed handling buff, right?
Yeah, and it's like you're doing it, and it gives it to you and allies and stuff as you're doing things. I don't remember the specific wording.
I got you. Your solar supers are enhanced, Deadshot, Golden Gun, blah, blah, blah. While radiant, final blows with your equipped throwing knife fully refund your melee energy. That's all it says.
Okay. So maybe I was thinking of something else from
the golden gun has increased duration. I think you were thinking of on your mark.
Yeah, on your mark was what I was thinking.
Yeah,
precision final blows grant you and nearby allies increased weapon handling and relay.
The other 3-word one.
Yes, yeah.
They do have like that kind of rhythm to them.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So golden, but it's good. But they're basically making that better. So it's they're reducing the internal cooldown from throwing knife refund from 1 second to 0.2 seconds. So you're just gonna get the knives way faster. Back faster.
Good.
So they're making a very targeted golden gun change here.
Yeah,
for you,
this is
for you,
so targeted.
For you, Cali, week 1 crafted red border farms.
Also, like a lot of like solar hunters that like did this strat for a lot of things.
Yeah, there's some other things.
No, I get it. No, this makes sense.
No,
actually.
this was fucking busted.
I just definitely just sat here and just like nod my head like, yep, yeah, okay, yep, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't.
Sorry, Oryx.
3 supers in like fucking a minute. Like,
yeah.
So they reduced the strength of orbs of powers created on precision hits. So basically, non-boss enemies, they reduced it from 0.75 to 0.5 of a normal super orb of power. And then, for boss enemies, they went from 0.75 to about 0.4 for a normal super orb. When hitting boss enemies with starter scales equipped, reduced strength from 0.75 to about 0.35 of a normal super orb.
Probably needed to happen.
Yeah, dude. Just
so
a bunch
funny.
of golden gun hunters
funny.
shooting Oryx in the chest and chaining supers.
It's also
funny.
just like that became like so prevalent, especially with like solar surges in Pantheon as that's been going on. To where like a lot of people I have noticed, like just from like running LFGs or like trying to run it with other people, like it just turns into well, this is the only thing that I can do, and it's the only thing I'm going to do, and it's like this way or the highway. And I'm like, okay, but what if you played the game though?
Yeah, what if you did like a couple other things or
anything
else? What if you shot a rocket?
Yeah, shoot a couple rockets.
Maybe 2 of them. Yeah. Try that.
Yeah. I was gonna say I also very much, even with these changes, I kind of am just getting, I don't know, I'm just vibing here. I think in general, Golden Gun is going to be a very big TPS thing in the final shape because of just some general changes. It's going to be, I believe the Marksman version is on Prismatic, so don't be surprised if there's Prismatic things pairing with that. We have seen that Golden Gun Sniper exists, so we don't know what kind of damage that thing is going to do, but like pairing that with like, I don't know, like even the premise of like, if that just does like normal with like somewhat decent Golden Gun style amounts of damage, and you then pair that with a actual super golden gun, like that's gonna be like super powerful. Like that's
if
you're
it
gonna be doing
does
a
more
lot
damage
of damage
with Nighthawk, right? Like that we speculated when we talked about it last time. Like for sure. Like
that'd be fucking crazy.
It's gonna
everything here is like making me even more believe after the Divinity nerf, like that this is like burst super central. Like Nova Bomb's getting like the first buff it's gotten in fucking forever. And you know, these changes to Golden Gun, it's like whatever's going on in this raid is going to be short burst damage phases that you need to do a lot of damage in a little bit of time. Right? Like that's the vibe I'm getting.
For sure. Definitely gonna have to see. But I think you're right. Next up we got Titan, Solar Titan. Again, Consecration is getting a bunch of buffs across the board. It's also on, again, like I said, it's on Prismatic Titans, so keep that in mind. Consecration, Slam Attack can now shatter Stasis Crystals, which again makes sense.
I feel like that is going to be like super. I think everybody talking about these changes are just looking at the like, like the big PvE damage buff. I really think that like Stasis Crystal change is like a little slept on. As far as like people talking about it.
Yeah, the
shattering,
that's gonna go
fucking crazy.
The shattering's gonna be pretty powerful. Yeah, because like I believe the Stasis Titan, the grenade for Stasis on Titan is the wall.
Is Glacier. Yeah.
So you can literally just throw down that wall and do a consecration into it, get the ignition and like this big Stasis shatter. Like that's gonna be a big hit for some stuff.
What's the shotgun that I don't have? What's it called?
Conditional finality.
Conditional finality.
It's like mobile conditional finality.
Ignitions generated by Consecration now deal 20% additional damage to PvE combatants.
So bananas.
It's crazy. So the ignitions already are really powerful, and now it's even better. Like, God, this thing's crazy.
With the fragments that like make them have a bigger AoE, make them spread scorch, make like all that stuff, you could just make a consecration build on Solar Titan. That would be bananas.
It is really fascinating for them to like. This is another thing where they I think one of you mentioned earlier about like something that was like, I never want to use this, and Bungie just went like, all right, bet, and just now they've just been like sitting here hitting like the crank the knob buff button like every other patch to just be like, you're not going to use this, are you? You're fucking using it now, and everyone's like, hell yeah, we're using it,
hell yeah, we're using
so it's pretty cool. And so they have fixed an issue where Consecration Slam attack was sometimes unable to damage floating combatants while they were grounded, and then there was another issue where Consecration's
bat-related adjustment is all I'm saying.
Intended PvE damage resistance not being applied. They did say you'll still need a different tool to take down
the grounded thing.
Grims,
specifically, they mentioned like the Grim are going to be a problem still because they like actually
servitors
fly,
and
but
like shanks and
servitors, since they're like kind of floaty,
grounded,
they're like a foot off the ground, but somehow this
the
giant
Grim
fire
will
blast.
Be a problem.
But next up we have some Hammer of Soul buff, and this is like specifically targeted because Hammer of Soul is going to be on Prismatic, and I don't believe, and this is accounting for like you won't really have Soul Invictus much on Prismatic. I don't think it even is on Prismatic, if I remember correctly. But Hammer of Soul will now increase projectile submunition count, and Soul Invictus is not equipped as follows. If the projectile detonates within the first 0.7 seconds of its lifetime, it now creates 4 shrapnel submunitions up from 3. If the projectile detonates after the first 0.7 seconds of its lifetime, it now creates 6 shrapnel up from 5. And note, when Soul Invictus is equipped, only 3 shrapnel submunitions are created, regardless of flight time. Shrapnel submunitions now deal increased damage when Soul Invictus is not equipped, with the damage increasing after the first 0.7 seconds of the projectile's lifetime. So again, I think this is largely just making it so like when you don't have Soul Invictus, which I don't think you have on...
you don't on Prismatic, confirmed.
Which you don't have on Prismatic, this kind of like keeps it on the same power level, or pretty close to what it is on whatchamacallit.
Solar Titans.
Solar Titans. And like the big thing is like also like it was really useful for like sunspots. So that's like nice. But yeah, I think it's fine. Let's see, another buff they're doing for swarm grenades. I think this will be for all classes. So and they're increasing the tracking shape size from 4 meters to 6 meters. Increase the linger duration from 7.7 to 8 seconds to 10 to 11 seconds, and they increase damage versus PvE combatants by 20%. So that's pretty good. So like this is
the grenade Prismatic Hunters will start with.
Yeah, so, and this is the one I used to use all the time before Solar 3.0, and we all got solar grenades. But this is like I like swarm grenades. So I'm cool with this. All right, now we move on to the Void subclasses. So now we have Hunter. So Hunter, they're kind of improving their smoke bombs and trapper ambush stuff, which I do like this stuff. They're increasing the linger duration of smoke after detonation from 3 to 5 seconds, and now applies small damage over time to enemies in the smoke, which increases in strength the longer they remain in smoke. So I think there used to be a damage over time effect on those bombs, but they took it off, I think, when Void 3.0, they say it here. With the release of Void 3.0, we removed the corrosive smoke melee ability in favor of Snare Bomb. But now it's coming back. They're basically just putting that functionality back on Snare Bomb, which is cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Then Trapper's Ambush is also getting that same functionality, which Trapper's Ambush is the aspect where the hunter does like the dive in the air. So like when you jump up and you have the smoke bomb equipped, you do like a dive and do like the big invis thing. So Trapper's Ambush is increased linger duration of the smoke after detonation from 4.5 to 6 seconds. Now applies Snare Bomb's damage over time, and increased where trappers' aim with smoke effects could be obstructed by ground geometry. Okay. And then the last one, Glaive Gang. Stash Executioner weaken effect can now be applied by glaive melee attacks.
I'm so happy for all 12 of you.
Let's go. I like Stash Executioner a lot.
Cool.
And let me tell you, that's gonna I'm gonna be pulling out a Vexcalibur glaive.
Vexcalibur enjoyers
with
rise
this,
up.
Making some void overshields, making myself invisible. With the glaive and
I have
enemies,
a Vexcalibur build for campaign day 1, just for point of reference.
That's going to be really fun. That's going to be really fun on a hunter. Although I will, when we get to the exotic and tuning stuff, there is Triton Vice that got a big buff. I still think Triton Vice is still too little hyper specific for me, but I mean, on a hunter, pair that with Triton Vice, this is Vexcalibur and Stash Executioner, and that could be pretty interesting. At least, but yeah. Next up, we got some Void Titan buffs. This is one that's needed, I think, for pretty much since I feel like Void 3 has been a thing. The shield throw has always felt kind of weak to me, and this is getting into a place where I think it could be finally actually very fun and useful. So they increase the maximum bounce count from 4 to 5. They increase the maximum lifetime from 3 seconds to 4 seconds. Now increase its tracking shape size and strength after each bounce, increasing its ability to consistently find a new target, and slightly increased gravity and decreased thrust speed with each bounce, and they increased the PV damage by 20%. I think the big things are obviously the damage bounce, but the big thing was tracking for me. That was always the thing that was felt not great on it, because you throw it. I would hit a dude and be like, yeah, I got that dude. And then it would start to bounce. And then you just immediately watch just hit the ground, just go and just fly off into the sky, even though it's 2 feet from another dude. So now it seems like it'll be better about going from enemy to enemy. It's that's what it needs. And I'm just hoping that now it'll be doing that.
I don't remember the last time I've seen a shield be thrown in any sort of content, to be honest.
Because it was never good. It was never good. Even though they made an exotic that made it useful for anti-champion stuns, and you really needed to rely on that exotic alone for it to even be somewhat okay. Or at least this sounds it's okay, baseline. Now it sounds like it could be actually a little bit more worthwhile.
If this actually does the dream of boom, 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 boom across 5 enemies.
Yes, that's the dream.
Yeah, that's the dream.
That is the dream.
And it sounds like that's their plan with it. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
Really hope so.
20% damage is hell.
It's a lot.
It's a big one.
There.
It's really
plus
with
that exotic with the double shield throw.
Yeah, I hope it's something. So we're also increasing the small change to offensive bulwark. So now the offensive bulwark can now only extend Void Overshield timer to its normal maximum duration, finish where players could get into a bad timer state. It now regenerates a small portion of your active Void Overshield with each melee defeat. That's kind of nice. I admittedly do not fully remember offensive bulwark, but I honestly I did not use it that much, I feel like, because I just mainly remember using the Bastion Barricade.
It's you throw the melee and then you get Void Overshield. Right?
Yeah, you get I think there's some volatile stuff with that too, but I can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that seems all right. More Void Overshield stuff. While
you have an Overshielder inside of Ward of Dawn, your grenade charges significantly faster. You have increased melee range and damage, and melee final blows extend the duration of your Overshield.
There you go.
So now it's an additional shield throw while in Sentinel Shield.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. So let's move on to Warlock, which definitely got some really good buffs on Void
move on
Warlock.
To Warlock.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
This is pretty exciting because I'm definitely a Void Warlock enjoyer myself as well. That's probably
same.
I've always liked it.
Yeah.
It's definitely not felt as we've gotten I feel like Strand and stuff. I feel like it's not felt
Strand is
as potent.
Taken over for me. Yeah.
But these buffs might bring it back in line, so that is pretty exciting. So Chaos Accelerant. They're making a charged magnetic grenade, aka the handheld supernova,
baby.
They're making it they're bringing it back or buffing it again because it was in there, but just I think a lot of people did not like the updated version. I guess
I did not.
Yeah,
I did not either.
That's what I've always heard. Is So now they're buffing that, so they're increasing the maximum intensity of physics knockback impulse. But so they're not physics knockback by 10%, increasing PvE combatant damage by 20%, and now passively decreases your magnetic grenade cooldown by 10% while Chaos Accelerant is equipped. So yeah, that seems pretty good.
Great news.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to play around with that.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Bring out the controversy. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that could be really good. Next up, Pocket Singularity. The melee is getting
maybe the best buff
PvE combat damage buff by. So it's increasing the detonation damage by 50%. So it's like.
Good.
So when
that thing's always kind of been ass.
So it kind of hits and pushes. Yeah, because the initial thing, the idea of it was like it like pushes enemies and it's like and like it
does, but
it does, but yeah, and especially in this day and age where like a lot of the harder content is very based around like bigger enemies that that don't really have a lot of knockback. You can even do to them in the first place. Like I definitely noticed that in Onslaught, like so you can lay waves. Like you can't push enemies around with that thing anymore. So doing more damage is a good call.
I think that's a good call. Yeah,
I think so too.
It was ass for kind of out the door, honestly.
Yeah. It's very cool. It looks great. The animation
looks cool.
amazing.
I was always more hyped by if the finisher that uses it. If you have that finisher where there's a warlock finisher where he straight up does like a fucking Hadoken stance and then just shoots one into a dude, and it's
very good.
It's that is more sick than the actual melee.
Unfortunately,
we'll have to see. And now we're getting Nova Bomb buffs, as you mentioned. Both variants are getting buffed. That's pretty awesome. So the Cataclysm variant is getting its seeker count increased from 4 to 6.
So happy for you, Ari.
Fixed an issue where seekers can impact the environment on creation. I think that's more big than honestly the seekers.
All the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time. I still kind of.
That's actually a big reason why I don't use
that. Yeah. Understandable.
So I'm still hopeful that there might be something to like. Can they put like a damage resist on the thing when you shoot it so it doesn't immediately explode from enemies?
I hope so. Maybe
that's something I think it still needs.
Not good. Yeah, we'll see.
It's still not. I think it still needs that a little bit, but like this is, I was going to give it like a pretty decent damage buff, which is like damage increase, which is great.
Atrax, I'm coming for your little weird fingery leg things because we're gonna wreck those with a Nova Bomb.
And then the Vortex variant is getting its linger duration from 7 seconds to 10 seconds, and fixed an issue where the linger visual effects were shutting off early. So yeah,
huge total damage.
Never
buff.
Noticed it.
That's gonna be pretty
but
huge.
No, like 3 extra seconds of it sitting there is fucking insane. That already does so much damage.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Fuck yeah.
Like it could obviously do more damage, but like just being able to stack that like constantly.
And then there's like
I think it's like a lot bigger than some people might realize.
Yeah.
I know this probably won't like suddenly become like the meta, but I'm curious like the using this with like what is it? There's Skull of Ahamkara, which does that give it a damage buff or here it is. Massively increases damage resist during Nova Bomb cast.
Yeah.
Nova Bombs return more super energy, so that's like a return on energy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not what I was thinking of, but
the thing is it Astrocyte Verse? Is that what you're thinking of?
That might be it. Astrocyte's Verse was that does while you're super that's for Nova Warp.
Okay.
And does
my bad.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have thought of that one. I like the thing that I'm thinking about, and I don't know where your head's at, Cam, but like, and because I know you're not a huge Cataclysm person, which I understand, that is on Prismatic. This is obviously going to be a huge damage buff. We are getting an exotic class item that is giving us access to Star Eaters. That plus this is going
to be nuts. Yeah.
Bananas. Like truly
good
like Warlock
out,
finally on the fucking chart for a damage super, like for the first time ever probably. And that is
excited about that.
So hyped, dude. I'm so fucking stoked.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't think of that. That's
what I've been thinking about. Like like
that's cool.
Yeah. It's going to be good. It's going to be really, really, really good, I think. So be excited, Prismatic Warlock, folks.
Cool. Let's see. Now we're moving on we're on to Strand. So I think this is our last subclass here.
This is it. The end.
So here we go. General fragment change here for Thread of Warding. So they're reducing the woven mail duration from orb pickup from 10 seconds to 5 seconds.
Brutal.
Oof.
This is what I've been alluding to this the entire podcast. Yeah, this is brutal. I mean, like,
that's not a lot.
Warlocks and Hunters have like real no sustainable. I guess Hunters have Pseudo-Arachne's Facade.
Yeah,
right?
her Pseudo-Arachne's is like the best they got for that to get some woven mail, and that's all. Yeah, that's pretty decent. I can't think of
sure it's just you have to pick up an orb.
Yeah, I think it is just this. We'll have to. Maybe we'll see from some of these exotics. Maybe some of these new exotics hopefully give some stuff. But yeah,
possible. I mean, or you could, I guess, theoretically just go run Ghosts of the Deep and get a Navigator. But like,
sure,
you know,
I forgot about Navigator. Navigator just got went up on the menu as far as I'm concerned.
It kind of did. Yeah,
an essential item.
I'd be curious. I don't think they're going to do it because they say it in here, where it says. It's like it says. Here's what they're saying.
Before we get into the fray.
Yeah, it says while we appreciate the defensive value provides by granting woven mail, it is currently too potent. It overshadows the role of berserkers into the fray aspect of being the best source of woven mail for your fire team. It seems like they're kind of trying to push into that word.
It is kind of nuts, though.
Yeah,
they do make a lot of woven mail.
And there's
so many.
There's orbs everywhere all the time. Yeah, you can have that for quite some time. So yeah, I get it.
Especially something
it's
like
gonna hurt
Onslaught,
for sure.
You have 40% DR always, basically.
Yeah. I would be really surprised if this doesn't get walked back a little bit with a later patch.
Too.
But
or they
it's entirely possible
some other way to give woven mail.
And it's entirely possible. Just maybe this turns out to be fine. We're just kind of looking at it and being like, oh, holy shit! But it feels like a lot.
It feels like a lot. The thing is, woven mail is kind of taking all the oxygen out of the room for something like frost armor. So I do understand the moment that they implement something like that. It's we gotta bring this down a little bit. You know.
Yeah.
It's just a bummer for folks that can't get woven mail as easily, but.
So us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely hitting warlocks the most. But for hunters, it's I could use Pseudo-Arachnes, but then that's taking up an exotic slot and having them to be well, maybe I can do I was trying to look at what was it exactly again? When you activate a grapple, so you have to use a grapple and that's what gives you woven mail. So you pretty much are forced into using a grapple if you want to have that functionality on a hunter. So it's there is at least something there. But I think ultimately it will hurt, but I still think the idea of we make so many orbs nowadays that I don't think it'll be the end of the world, but it'll definitely feel you'll be able to.
You're gonna feel it though.
You're not gonna have woven mail as much in some stuff for sure.
And I'll be less incentivized to use this, which is what they wanted, right?
Yeah,
they want me to use other fragments, which is I get it. And Strand Titan. Another reason that they're still at the top, you know what I mean?
Strand Titan, you start throwing them tangles at your allies. Gosh,
it's either this or make woven mail less potent, and I do think that this was the better of those two calls.
Yeah, I think so too.
After woven mail's already been nerfed once, I'd rather see that still be very good.
Useful. So next up we have Hunter Ensnaring Slam. This is the Hunter aspect, the dive suspend. So it's getting a detonation volume versus enemy players is now a cylinder with a 6.5 meter radius rather than a sphere with an 8 meter radius. So basically it's you have to kind of, I guess it's because if you're above them now you won't get affected. Is that how this is? I guess it's how they're trying to do that.
I imagined it was more instead of this, instead of an orb around you, it is more a column.
You have to be more on top of them. I see.
Yes.
Yeah, I get what you get.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. This results in fewer incident victims correctly attempting to counterplay by jumping being caught.
Backward, right?
Yeah. I get that. And then Threaded Spike, which is I believe their melee, is reduced damage versus enemy players from 79 to 70. casting your threaded spike no longer breaks invisibilities. That's big for prismatic. That's cool.
Big for prismatic. That's very cool.
Yeah, that's like a big one. But largely it seems like, these are PvP focused things for sure. That's fair. Let's see. Next up, we have Warlock, which is the Weaver's Call.
This is a great buff.
Added a new behavior. Defeating a target with strand damage now has a chance to generate a perched threadling with a higher chance of generation from defeating more powerful targets. The damage can be from any source, including other threadlings. That's pretty good. Remind me, was Weaver's Call
it's just the one that like throws out threadlings when you cast your rift.
3 threadlings when you cast rift, or launches your perched threadlings, right?
Yeah, because
this having just like a passive is such a huge buff.
Yeah, because for the longest time it just felt like, okay, well, it just like forces you to spec into, well, I need to make sure that I'm like casting this thing as much as possible, which is like super doable, but it definitely took away from being able to like focus on other things.
Yeah, this is definitely bring threadlings up, active threadlings up a lot more, which that's cool.
Yeah, like the threadling build for Strand, like straight Strand Warlock, just got very good, and this is like their prismatic Strand aspect, so it's like that's also very fucking good. Yeah, I think this is going to be a great change, because usually like I'd be like, I'm not going to run Weaver's Call. I'm just going to run Wanderer with the boots. I forget what they're called.
Yeah.
And that'll make me plenty of threadlings. But this is great.
Yeah, this is cool. I definitely will want to mess around with that for sure.
I guess technically kind of another buff to Quicksilver. So
yeah, Quicksilver, kind of, and like I never really made a Swarmers build with with Warlock, and like that's definitely like, okay, now I'll finally make one of those and do that. It could be pretty fun.
Brief aside, and I promise it'll be brief. I used Quicksilver this week. It's not the same, y'all. I know it is still good. Obviously, the grenades are great, but the rockets being gone, I didn't understand how much I was taking them for granted. And I'm sorry.
How much a little extra damage they pop off.
Yeah, it's just like kind of like a flow state thing that it would do. Now that they're like effectively gone, I feel it is a bummer. All right, it's not the worst weapon ever. It's not. It's just not as good as it used to be, and it's a bummer. Okay, that's it.
That's fair. Next up, we have another pretty targeted nerf here.
Extremely targeted.
The most maybe on this whole list.
but also pretty warranted, I would say.
Super.
Grapple tangles. Are no longer fully refresh their duration when grappled to. Now increases their duration by a maximum of 5 seconds per grapple, reducing the maximum number of 1 second added after 5 consecutive grapples to the same grapple tangle.
If you are mad about this change, just go watch any sort of like solo master clear of Warlord's Ruin and tell me that is okay.
That's like a normal functioning thing you should be able to do.
Yeah, that this is how this game was supposed to be played, for sure.
Right. It's cool and it's fun.
Cool.
But like,
and it takes skill, for sure.
And like, I think like it's still going to be like somewhat partially doable. It's just going to be a lot harder to do. Like I think they could still kind of do it. Because now increase the duration by a maximum of 5 seconds per grapple. So it's like you can't do it as they could still like do the quick motion, but you just like basically have to kind of you're like, if you can still do it, but you have to like relearn the timing, and it's going to be a longer timing in between.
And you're not going to put out as much damage,
so it just won't be as much damage.
They also mentioned just below that you're not going to be able to like fire your weapon and then immediately use your grapple melee.
Yeah.
Because I know like in PvP specifically, there was a lot of people who would like fly in on a grapple, do like a body shot with like any sort of like hand cannon or something, and then just like fucking hit him with the grapple melee and then just go off and like just kind of move from there. And that was like a very like hard to parse thing whenever it happened to you. So I think that's like again, like it kind of sucks in like what is having to happen in order to curb that, but like it's one of those things that like it could just spiral out of control if it was
taking all the oxygen out of the room,
totally
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think it's fine. Like as somebody who like never really did any of this shit, like it's like not really I think by and large it's not really gonna affect many people in general ever. So it's fine. Next let's move on to Titan, Strand Titan, definitely getting some changes. I don't think they're that big, really, frankly, though. Into the fray, they're reducing the melee energy regeneration scalar from ×4 to ×3 in PvE activities, and it's unchanged in PvE or PvP. So yeah, that's fine. I don't think it's like that big of a hit. Here, all things considered.
Still that aspect or the fragment that'll give you better melee stuff as well. So
right.
And then as well, of course, figured they're going to do some Banner of War changes. Honestly, they don't really
not that bad.
They're not that bad. They're very targeted. I think it was like the right call because they're more so targeting that Banner of War being targeted with Syntheseps and Worm God Caress, the melee exotics. Yes. So they're basically making it so both of them have diminishing returns. So the melee bonus damage increased from 1.4 to 1.5. Glaive damage also being reduced in that same manner. And so super, and that is for both the exotics. They're basically just kind of toning those down when they're all paired together. And the Banner of War, they reduced the maximum timer from 30 seconds to 24 seconds. So it will be up a little bit longer, all things considered, but it's not like a huge thing. And then lastly, they have the Frenzied Blade, which is the super issue where they identified an issue where the melee lunge target point was being offset too far from the actual lunge target. So looking at some odd behavior. I definitely have noticed that sometimes when you go to you go to hit an enemy nearby you super and you just like the thing just like wildly juts in a weird direction. It seems like they're trying to like fix that stuff. So yeah, Banner War still seems pretty good. Well, it would still be pretty useful, all things considered. I think the things it's very specifically targeting here are good. I like these are the things that it needed. As somebody who has plays a lot of Banner Titan and Strand Titan, like it is good, but like with the changes they made last season, this season they were overly reliant on the things that they have here to be like as ridiculous as it was. Where like with like on its own, like I use Armentarium with 2 grapple melees on my Strand Titan, and like I do, and like I'm not just free murdering, free killing with like high level Banner like going.
Even looking back at Crota's End contest mode, like it felt almost mandatory for that last fight to have a Strand Titan on your team. Like it was just like Banner of War was just that good. Their like melee damage output was just that good. Like I think we had one run with a Navigator, which just kind of carried us through it. And so like I think that bringing that back a little bit isn't the worst idea in the world, because it has become entirely synonymous with like, oh, do you need damage? Strand Titan. Do Strand Titan.
Yeah,
like,
just here's some Syntheseps.
Doesn't matter what your loadout is.
Strand
Titan.
Syntheseps, And this is like pretty fine now. Well, all right. There's your ability tuning, and hey, guess what time? Guess what?
Hours.
We're at 2.5 hours, so we still have a lot to talk about. But
I think we can get the rest in the next episode for sure.
I think so as well. So we're gonna cut it here, folks, for this episode of the Helm to Tower podcast. But there's plenty more to talk about. And that episode will be back this episode will probably be close to back for this week, because I'll still probably try and do another episode on our kind of, we usually have them drop on Mondays right before weekly resets. So we'll probably still have one more episode
this isn't really for y'all's convenience. It's entirely for ours.
It's entirely for ours.
We don't want to sit here for 6 hours. So
exactly. So we're gonna leave it here. We'll continue talking about all the other fun stuff like the exotic armor, the TWAB, and the Vidoc that happened in the next episode. So we'll see you then. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching or listening here. As always, we'll see you then. Bye.